And welcome to the Hinckley Road Stadium here in Leicester for the latest edition of Caesars TV. Tonight we produce our first away game of the season, with the Nottingham Caesars, and we are here in Hinckley in Leicestershire to see a real top of the table clash this evening between the Nottingham Caesars and the Leicester Falcons. I'm here with George Lees. Evening, George.
Evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Nice to be in a different location for a change.
Yes. Yep. I've been all over the country today, but I'll agree with you there.
As per usual, we've got loads in store for you, both prior to the game, during half-time and after the game, including a little bit of talk about the juniors' trip to Merseyside tomorrow.
Yes, that's going to be another long day for me.
This game today, almost the season for the Caesars has been building up to this point. Caesars currently 7-0, and the Leicester Falcons sitting just beneath them at 6-1. But I say, in the season so far, this has almost been the one that both teams have been penciling the schedule. Yeah,
it's an old rivalry. Both teams are gunning for this win, and it's now become a real key game of the season, so we'll just see what they bring out today.
So Falcons coach Noel Kassar welcomes Nottingham today, hot on the heels of a very dominant display, first against the Sandwell Steelers, where Leicester managed to get a 42-0 decision against them, and then on the back of a closer call, really, last time out against Birmingham.
Yeah, rumour has it from guys I've been speaking to today that their starting QB wasn't there, so that's always a big factor. But at the end of the day, a game's a game, and what they still achieved a win with the backup QB. So we'll see what they bring.
And Nottingham come in, as we mentioned earlier on, undefeated at 7-0. It's been a topsy-turvy season for the Caesars, really. They've put in some fantastic performances against Sandwell, where they came out on top of an absolute thriller.
Yeah,
and prior to that game, people were thinking, well, there's no way this is going to happen. And then last game, they're coming off a 7-6 decision in favour of the Caesars, but against Coventry.
Yeah, I mean, they played Coventry for the third time this season, so that's always a big factor. Both teams starting to know each other, but the offence didn't click for the Caesars. The defence worked well, but the defence really has been the crown for the team this year. So
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think with both games, and we can with both games and both teams rather, Caesars have really gone through the season with defence really providing the base for the scores and for the offence, whereas the Falcons, who we'll see in action today, have got a real high-powered offence.
Yeah, I mean, Caesars' defence typically over the years has been the stronger point of their team. Offense has always had this issue with cohesion, that clicking that you need to have an offense work. The Falcons have absolutely flown out from the start of the season, obviously winning Div 2 last year. They've come flying out the blocks. I don't think anyone expected them to be quite as good as they have been, but they've come out and they've just pounded and done what they needed to do.
Well, when an explosive offence meets a stingy defence, then something has to give, and I think tonight we will see whether offence or defence will shine in this one here in Hinckley. Added to the mix today for this particular game, the fact that we've got a little bit of history between certain staff on the Caesars sideline and
just a little bit, yeah,
and General Manager Guy Kersey of the Leicester Falcons, and that adds a bit of spice to the game.
It does, yeah, absolutely. There's some bitter rivalries between some of these guys. But hopefully it won't flare into too much in terms of off-field shenanigans during the game.
So prior to the game, as is normal practice now for us, we managed to catch up with both coaches, and first of all we caught up with Coach Kassar.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for having us here in Leicester this afternoon.
No problem. A
few things then before this afternoon's game between Nottingham and Leicester. 2017 for the Falcons, how are things going?
It's going really well. In the first game where we played in one half and then we gave a 21-point lead up. No, it's going really well. We haven't really ran the ground, I'd say. We only play half a game. So at the minute, we're only playing good football about 30 minutes, other than the full hour, which is what we need really. I'm sure it'll come. Maybe it'll come today, maybe not. I don't know.
In the early weeks of the season, it seemed like you were scoring with ease. The offence seemed to be really clicking and motor, and obviously the games against Sandwell, seemed like some corking offensive displays on both teams.
Yeah.
Last time out against Birmingham, seemed to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, we struggled. Birmingham are a good side. Let's not take anything. I know they're a small squad, but they hit hard and they don't give up. We had a lot of players missing. We put a new QB in, the backup QB, who performed really well on the day. Really well. Really proud of AJ. He's come a long way. So, it was good for us to have a proper game, so to speak. It's not going to be a walkover. Everybody thinks every game's going to be a walkover. It's not. As you know, it's never going to be a walkover. It's all on the day, as is today. It's going to be against a great Nottingham team. 7-0. Everybody's putting us favourites, but of course, top of the league is always favourites.
And
not us.
And with well, like you say, with that in mind, it's almost like the season has been building up to this end point. With the way the fixtures have come out, with the likes of obviously these two games, Nottingham and Leicester, and the way that, like you say, Nottingham have been in some tight games, but nevertheless they've managed to see it through and all 7-0. You guys are 6-1. Yeah. What are the keys today for the Leicester Falcons to overturn and join Nottingham at the top of the division?
We really need to hit offence running. We need to our first quarter. We need to hit it hard and hit it running. We seem to start off too slow, and we also, I mean, so far in the stats we gave 469 penalties away. Wow. Which is killing us, to be fair. Yeah. So we need to sort that out. But the offence needs to start from the kick-off right through. As soon as they get the ball, they need to start hitting it. Defence, no problem.
And probably going on from that a little bit, are the Falcons built around a particular unit? Is it defence that sort of set the platform for the offence?
It seems to take one good hit or something special from the defence to get the offensive going. That's how it works. Okay. And it's dead strange. I don't know how. But like against Samuel, the first game went 21-0 up. Yeah. Everybody thought we won the game already, which I've now.
So some interesting thoughts there from the Falcons head coach.
Yeah.
We obviously, as is tradition again, we caught up with Van Warner, coach of the Caesars, to get his thoughts for this away trip this afternoon to Leicester. Apologies there about a few technical hitches we had there. We aren't able to bring you the Coach Warner interview at this moment, but we'll try and get that for you later on, maybe another time. So, as we've said, I put it to Coach Kassar. This fixture come out, and almost like someone in the British world knew the Leicester-Nottingham sort of tradition or rivalry, and they've put it right at the end when it actually does mean the most.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're actually considering that when they put the schedule together, but it does seem to have worked out like that. And it really is a key game now. I don't think anyone was anticipating the Caesars to do quite as well as they've done. I think everybody at the club is very, very happy with what they've achieved. There's still things to work on, but for it to be in this situation now with Falcons only having lost one game and Caesars being undefeated, this is really, really a key game, and it's going to be ultimately, I suspect, the division decider.
Absolutely. I'm now being made aware that we can bring in that interview with Coach Warner, so let's hear what he had to say. Every time I've spoken to you, it's been another notch on the win column and yet to lose. How are you going to sustain that this afternoon?
Well, obviously I can't give away too much, but yeah, just got to keep the guys focused and concentrate on what we need to do to get the win today. Today's going to be about our biggest and toughest test. So just got to make sure they're all switched on and ready to go.
It almost seems like the 2017 season has been building up to this game today, and obviously the one in a couple of weeks' time when Leicester come back to Nottingham. As it stands, Nottingham are 7-0 and Leicester 6-1. So this one today could either see us pull 2 games clear or tie that thing up at the top. Training, has that reflected that? People getting numbers to training and been positive?
Training's been good. Yeah, we've had some real good training sessions the last couple of weeks. I'm not too bothered about the numbers. We haven't managed to get everybody down, but obviously, it's the time of year when guys are going to be unavailable. We've made the most of what we've got.
You confident that you've got a strong squad out this afternoon in terms of who's here and executing the game plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I mentioned to the Falcons head coach about the Leicester-Nottingham rivalry, and he obviously played for the Hoods, and he referred back to the old Hoods-Panthers days. Yeah. Obviously, from a sort of Caesars point of view, and yourself included, and other members of the Caesars staff at the moment, there's maybe a little bit more connection to this Falcons team than the old Panthers team. Has that played any part of the preparations in terms of doing anything extra thorough, or this game mean any more because of the link with certain members of the Falcon staff?
No, not at all. Obviously, there's always been a rivalry between Nottingham and Leicester. I remember watching it as a kid, Hoods against the Panthers. Yeah. I remember one of my first junior games was against the Leicester Panthers in a playoff game. Yeah. So yeah, there's been no extra special preparation for that. We're not really bothered about anything that's gone on in the past. We're just focusing on trying to get another one in the win column, staying top of the division.
Strange old season in the fact that I remember a few weeks back, Sandwell visited Nottingham, and the naysayers were almost, before things had kicked off, Sandwell are going to roll over Nottingham here, and on that day, probably one of the best performances I've seen a Caesar outfit in the last few years put on the field.
Yep.
And then we followed that up with games against Birmingham and Coventry, and the last game out, there's that slight 7-6 win over the Jets, and you're thinking, which Nottingham team are we going to get on any given day? Is it a case, no disrespect to Coventry or the Birmingham at all, but is it a case that the Caesars of 2017 almost raised their game depending on how they view the calibre of the opposition?
I think so. The coaching staff obviously approach every game exactly the same. I think maybe a few of the players got a little complacent. Thought it was going to be an easy win on paper, but games aren't won on paper.
No, absolutely. And Coventry and Birmingham, as we said, have made some huge strides this year, and have showed that they're going to be competitive and putting the foundations in place for years to come, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you ever so much for your time. I know it's a busy time before a game, so thanks for sparing the time with us.
No
and best of luck, and all being well, we'll catch a word with you after the game.
Thanks very much.
All right, Coach. Interesting there, as I mentioned to both coaches. Coach Kassar used to play for the Hoods and played many games against the Panthers when it was the Nottingham Hoods against the Leicester Panthers in the old days of Brit Ball, and now he sees himself in charge of the Leicester team taking on the Caesars.
Yeah, I mean, Falcons obviously have a number of routes back to the Caesars, so one or two recent moves as well. We'll just see what it brings.
Absolutely. So as you can hear behind us, the teams are being announced. We have got weather set fair for this evening. Very little wind, lovely temperature, ready for a fantastic game of football for the local rivalry. Let's sit back, relax and enjoy the Nottingham Caesars against the Leicester Falcons. Good evening and welcome to the Leicester Road Football Stadium for tonight's fixture between the Leicester Falcons, the 6-1 Leicester Falcons, and the currently perfect 7-0 Nottingham Caesars. Once again, we're very fortunate in Nottingham to have Harvey Haddon as our home stadium, but I must say, George, this is a really nice place to play football. The fact there's 4 stands all, or 3 stands, and then the change rooms at one end. It's a real sort of nice cauldron for a sporting event.
Yeah, it's different. I'm pretty sure the seated stand is as big, if not bigger, than Harvey Haddon main stand. It's a shame they've still got the football posts out as well as the goalposts for the game.
Fortunately, those posts are 4 or 5 yards away from the back of the end zone, so obviously safety is not an issue. You may have just seen flash up on the screen there. You can get in touch with us as normal on Twitter, and we'll try and give you a shout out. That's hashtag LEI versus NOT, hashtag LEI versus NOT. Please do get in touch with us here at the show. Let us know where you're watching. Let us know who you're supporting, who you're gunning for. We usually have viewers from across the pond. Last time out we had Nebraska, and we had people from the Southern Hemisphere as well watching, and all over Europe. So please get in touch if you can. Join us for this afternoon's game. So we just had the coin toss, and it would appear that the Caesars lost the toss, but Leicester deferring with a decision, and Nottingham will receive the ball to open this first half. So, big squads on both sides of the field, which is always really pleasing to see, particularly at this stage of the year in the summer when summer holidays come into effect, and sometimes the game over in this part of the world takes a bit of a hit from absences. But It would appear, I know the Nottingham team have brought at least 45 players, and Coach Kassar was saying to me that he's expecting around about 55 players on the Leicester sideline.
Yeah, it looks like real good numbers, as you say, particularly at junior level, with exams as well. You do often throughout the summer see teams a bit depleted on the sideline. We've seen a couple of forfeits over the last few weeks from teams that just haven't been able to get the numbers together, so it's great to see two solid numbers out there today.
As per usual, Caesars TV is brought to you by Onside Productions, and Tom Howe and Steve Matthews have been working hard with all the other guys in the crew, and we've got a double camera feed for you today. Alex up on the camera in the stand. We've got another sideline camera as well. We've also got James Smith, who's running the scoreboard and clock for us today. So, very well staffed here, both on the field, but also in the booth for Caesars TV this afternoon. So here we go with the opening kickoff. And to kick off and open things up, it will be number 23, Danny Burton for Leicester. And we're looking to kick back with one single returner, and that's Rob Hardwick, and that's a bit of a skewed kick, and Rob fields it in the end zone and decides to take a knee. So it'll be Caesars ball, 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line.
Yeah, another field that's looking like it's 5 yards short, 45 yards each half, 90-yard field in total. So very similar to the Caesars home ground, a shorter field. See what they can make of that start they've got now.
So starting quarterback today for the Caesars. It's been a bit of a mix and match with an experiment going on. Pick and mix indeed.
Pick and mix.
The starting quarterback today is number 7, Dan Johnson, who's shown flashes of brilliance, and particularly in the Sandwell game, I think he really came into his own, throwing that winning touchdown to number 83, J. Moore Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing Dan lacks is inconsistency, or consistency, should I say. He does show flashes of brilliance, as you've said, but he just needs to find that every game.
The regular formation for Nottingham that they start with, the 4 receiver set with one man in the backfield. We've got Robbie Jones and Tom Green to the left-hand side, and he goes immediately over the top, and that's picked off on the first play from scrimmage, and that's Dom Olney, former Jets quarterback.
Yeah, there is a flag on the play, and I think the teams look a little bit confused as what's going on.
So that Olney takes a knee on the Caesars.
It was a very, very late flag, but I think they might have called it on an offside on the Leicester Falcons.
Now that replay, just a great concentration from Olney there. So a bit of a let-off, but that would explain why Dan went up top on that first play. He obviously realised there was a penalty coming, and he thought, well, let's have a crack.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie Jones there looked like he kind of gave up on the ball, but I think every single player, whether there was a whistle that was blown that shouldn't have been blown, everybody seemed to just stop.
So 1st and 5 Nottingham. David Ass and J. Moore Thomas on the right-hand side, top of the screen, and Tom Green and Robbie Jones, number 15, on the bottom of the screen. Dan again trying to make that Leicester defence jump, and running back number 19. Doesn't really manage, in fact loses 3 yards on the play, so from 1st and 5 it'll be now 2nd and 8.
Nice to see Ianusi back after his sprain that he sustained against the Coventry game, their first opening home game of the season.
Great penetration there from the Leicester defence, and Ianusi really had nowhere to go. So 2nd and 8 now for Nottingham after the penalty on 1st down and the loss on 1st and 5. Same formation, Green and Jones to the near side. And Johnson drops back as a rush comes from the outside, and he's aiming for Thomas, but Thomas had 2 men with him, one of them being Taylor Brown, number 3 for Leicester.
Wayne Gums running Leicester Falcons defence today. Actually spoke to him in a Northampton Knights practice. I went all the way down there. They're an associate team new to the league, and nice to speak to him and his thoughts about today's game a couple of weeks back.
It's interesting again, like you say, Leicester and Nottingham have connections not only to the Britball community leagues, but obviously also to the university game with Noel Kassar, with Derby, and obviously Coach Giles and Coach Warner, in fact, and a number of others on the sideline of Nottingham linked up to the Nottingham Trent Renegades.
Yeah, you can see the number of Braves helmets on the Falcons sideline.
So 3rd down for Dan. Dan looks again, and he looks to the right. He's got Jones, but he overthrows Jones in the flats, and that's incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Is incomplete. That's quarterback Dan Johnson as intended
Very nervy start there from the Caesars offence, and Danny's very much a confidence player. If he completes one or two passes,
he is, and you know that just shows a little bit of his inconsistency. It was the right read, he just didn't quite find that touch that he needed.
So 4th and 7. Nottingham on their own 21-yard line. Back deep to return is number 3. Taylor Brown, we mentioned his name earlier in coverage.
Chicago.
Kicking for Nottingham as normal is Danny Johns, number 87, but this play is stopped before it's even started. I think that's going to be a false start against one of the Caesars offensive linemen. And indeed, the Caesars march back as the officials just clarify that call with us in the stands.
Take ball foul, full start on the offense.
So from 4th and 7, that will now make it 4th and 12. You can see on the clock there's only just over a minute gone with all the stoppages and indiscipline early in the game. John's under a little bit more pressure, and Brown looking to field the ball. Rush comes from Leicester, but it's a decent high kick, giving his cover team a chance to get under, and Brown fields it at the 14. He steps a man, he's out to past midfield and runs out of bounds at the Nottingham 35-yard line, where Troy Lee for Leicester, and the Leicester offence will take over after a successful first defensive stand.
I mean, you watch this replay here, and the returning man, nice clean catch, but he makes this step, but look how far the Caesars defence are, the special teams unit, are breaking down away from him. They need to be right up there in his face.
Fine line between keeping that lane, that gap and lane discipline on special teams, and like you say, not breaking down too early to get stepped. But anyway, here we go. First down Leicester on the Nottingham 36-yard line. It is Troy Lee, number 14 in the backfield. 3 receivers set for the Falcons, 2 halfbacks or 2 backs in the backfield, and the ball is handed off to number 32. And that's Nat Eves with the carry on first down. Picks up 2 or 3. We have mentioned already in our pre-game show the fact that the strength of the Caesars has been their defence, and they really need a stop here, particularly with the fact that Leicester have picked the ball up in the Nottingham half of the field already.
Yeah, well, you know, they've obviously done the scout work, speaking to some of the Caesars defensive players and their defensive coordinator Grant. They know what they're looking for, they know what they need to do, so let's see if they can execute their game plan.
So quarterback Lee has Tom Jarrett, Ashton Clark-Jackman and Kieran Watts at receiver, along with number 18 Jack Verlin, and Jack Verlin makes the reception, is met, but not before he's got a first down, by Rob Hardwick and a number of other Caesars players.
Yeah, Verlin was left wide open there. Whether that was actually part of the game plan or somebody had just mixed up an assignment.
So Caesars show blitz, and it's just out of our view, but a nice quick decision by quarterback Lee.
Yeah, pre-snap read, I suspect. You're more of the quarterback coach than I am, so
I think that is definitely the speed that ball came out there. He must have seen something. The fact that the DBs, linebackers were sitting back off that slot receiver. But that is a Leicester first down, and they're threatening already. Only 3 minutes into the game. It's a different formation again. This time 3 backs in the backfield, just 2 receivers. You would think that this ball is getting handed off on first down. Lee tosses the ball to the left, number 25, Joel Gregory. And Gregory looks to turn the end, but is met by 2 Caesars.
Looks like Wilkins and Fisher getting up there from the tackle.
Spot on. Wilkins mentioned his name very frequently as one of the pins, a solid sort of building blocks of that Caesars defence.
Number 56 for Caesars there, Mike Thompson, just hobbling off the side of the field. Looks like he might have picked up a slight knock on his ankle.
And on comes number 67. Who's number 67, coach?
Mr. Thomas Harvey.
Tom Harvey, formerly of Coach Lee's junior teams last year, and making the step up to the senior game this year.
He's also been playing for the Braves this year as well, so playing against his head coach today.
So, good stop there defensively for the Caesars. 2nd and 7. Maybe 2nd and 8, looking at where that yard down marker is. But Lee at quarterback again. Looks to hand off, but fakes that ball. He fakes again, and he's got the lane. He's looking for a man to work free in the corner of the end zone. He's still looking now. He takes off, and he picks up a few before number 41 for Nottingham.
James Beckett. But Lee too much time there. I mean, look how much time.
Looks to his right, pumps fakes, then to his left. He's still looking.
He's
no one
performed a whole
free.
ballroom dance before he takes up the field.
And then Beckett delivers a sideline hit to bring up 3rd down. You feel this is an important one for Nottingham if they can force them to fourth down now, even though Leicester may well go for it on fourth down. Not sure what their special teams units are like. I know when I watched the highlights of the the Sandwell game from a couple of weeks back, Leicester did elect to go for the 2-point conversion on the majority of attempts.
Yeah, you know, I feel like looking from their defence, they're a fairly aggressive team. They've got some very talented players, so if not, why not?
Same formation again. 3 men in the backfield for Lee. Lee scanning that Caesars defence, making those pre-snap reads as we mentioned earlier. Taking a long time under centre, and he's got a real quick snap and hits number 21, Kieran Watts. And Kieran Watts skirts around Rob Hardwick into the end zone for the opening score of the afternoon.
And I play that this Caesars defence was actually scouted beforehand. But it's interesting to see that formation. Typically we see the spread formation at Brick Bowl, and to see that full house formation, if you can call it a full house formation, it brings a completely different look for the Caesars defence to go up against.
And Kieran Watts, a big receiver out there. Interesting that they chose to throw to him and get the ball in his hands and make him do the work, rather than, if you look at the height advantage he has over Hardwick, rather than letting him jump for that ball in competition. But here we go again for the extra 2 then. Lee at quarterback, that same formation, the ball's handed off to Nat Eves, and Nat Eves is met immediately, and I think that conversion is going to be no good, and there's no signal at all. And indeed, there's the signal from the official, which score after 5 minutes. Here's that first touchdown. Here's a touchdown. Watch how quickly Lee, he's looking over there to his right already, he looks again. And Lee immediately takes 1 step and flings that ball to Watts, and Watts just basically jinks inside, shows Rob Hardwick the inside.
That was a design play. It was going to be, you know, it's just a quick, see which DB's further off, and bang, in we go.
Single coverage as well. Rob was on his own out there, so difficult when a man that size and speed has the ball in his hands.
If the Caesars defence has scouted that play, or seen that play, or even heard of that play, that DB has to be straight up there. I mean, it's the key there is what the offensive line does and where Lee's putting his head.
So here we go again then for the second kickoff of the afternoon for Danny Burton. Once again, Hardwick back deep for the Caesars, checks with both sides of his lines and puts his foot through another beautiful kick. Hardwick will be able to field this one, and he does. So bobbles it a little bit, does manage to hold on to it, and then puts his foot. Oh! That looks like.
And Hardwick looks hurt.
He does look hurt, because that was a very nasty collision. Let's just see. There's no flags. It doesn't appear there are any flags on the play for that, which I'm amazed at. We can see a replay of that kickoff. Here we go. So as Rob fields that ball, and after the slight bobble, it's just a forearm right round the neck, but deemed legal by the officials, and Hardwick does make his way back to the line.
This is one of the rulings that I feel needs to be changed, and I know a number of coaches across the country have seen that sort of play happen, and unfortunately it's not going to get changed until it's too late. The player has made no attempt to grab the face mask, so that's, it's a clean tackle. He's not grabbed the horse collar, it's a clean tackle, but he's come straight in. Rugby, that's bordering. That sort of tackle is bordering red.
If you've been watching the Lions Test series the last couple of weeks, there was this morning there was a yellow card for exactly that, for the forearm across the face of Alan Wynne-Jones, and last week Sonny Bill Williams was ejected for a shoulder straight into the face of Anthony Watson. But anyway, Nottingham get their second possession of the afternoon, and this time different running back that Johnson hands the ball off to. I believe that's Jason Robinson. See the number? Jason Robinson.
Really nice interior defence from the Falcons there, and again just showing the force they've got. They've much like the Caesars have allowed very few points, except that Sandwell game they had at the start of the season, which was a real shootout.
Conditions couldn't be any better here this afternoon. You're looking around the stadium, we've got a beautiful scattering of cumulus clouds amongst the...
Do you know it's a cumulus cloud, or are you just...
I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure from my geography A-level days that they're cumulus nimbus. But anyway, second down. Johnson drops back to pass. He has a man. It's and that's number 16, Jamie Molnar.
That was straight in his hand, right? The numbers. That was completely on the receiver.
And that's turning his head before he secured that ball. I don't know how many times this year I've mentioned about what you catch the ball with first in commentary, but it's got to be your eyes. and secure that ball, then turn upfield and get your extra yardage. So again, the Caesars offense spluttering and have another huge 3rd and 11 to try and convert deep in their own territory. And the worrying thing is that on that first possession for Leicester, they do seem to be able to move the ball with a variety of weapons, and if the Caesars go down by too many, it could be good night Vienna very early on. Oh, and Dan throws to a spot there, and Robbie Jones was expecting that ball somewhere else.
Looking at watching the further side cornerback there, Wayne Gums, who is also their DC, where most teams, or a lot of teams, certainly tried to play a bit of man coverage on Davidas. Coach Gums dropped right off, so indicating that they were in a zone defence.
So, unfortunately, actually, having said that, George, I remember feeling very much like this at the start of the Sandwell game, which the one that the Caesars went on to win. It was very much an inauspicious start for the Caesars, and Sandwell went and got the opening score. Caesars then, I think, if I remember correctly, they did actually start moving the ball on their second possession, but if the Caesars defence can hold here and give them a little bit of confidence, who knows? As Johns kicks the ball away, and it spirals nicely, and it bounces out of bounds in the end.
Yeah, a real nice bounce for them.
And Leicester will take over 1st and 10 on about their own 49-yard line.
Back on the 29-yard line. Leicester Falcons offense is back on the field.
Anybody who watched the stream last time when the Coventry Jets came to Nottingham will have heard me. It was Father's Day, if you remember, and would have heard a brief interview with my ever so non-commentary friendly father. He's just texted me to say he's tuned in again. So, Steve Walker, great to know you're watching again. Glad to know you've got the Caesars on instead of Wimbledon, and I bet Mum's probably in the other room watching Federer instead of watching her son.
Have you watched much of the tennis?
I love the tennis. I genuinely love the tennis.
It's been good. I've not had much chance over the last few years, but it's been nice to see.
It has, and it's made a difference, obviously, the fact that it's been good weather. So anyway, here we go. Second possession for Leicester. Troy Lee at quarterback, 3 receivers, 2 split to the left, 1 to the right. Lee drops back, and again it passes immediately out to number 18, Jack Verlin, and Verlin steps a man and then is met by a number of Caesars again.
Yeah, it looks like Sholter made the initial tackle, or the last tackle of the day.
And Jamie Sholter, another talismanic figure for Nottingham, who's spent a lot of the season out due to quite a serious back injury.
Has, but look here, and look how far Mickey Fisher's breaking off. He's got 5 yards, but he's breaking down. It's way too far. It's too far away.
Giving Leicester easy yards, really, and you can tell immediately the fact that the DBs are playing as far off. QB Lee is making the easy decision to get the ball into the hands of his playmakers early and make them do the rest. So, 2nd and 6. Leicester. Lee again. It's 2 receivers again. Oh, it's a low snap and it's a fumble snap, and he manages to get the ball off. And the whistle is blown dead before Wilkie made the tackle.
Blown dead there after the bubble snap, so that's going to go back to where the ball was down.
Let's have a look. Did Lee? Sorry, I don't know if we can get that replay again. I don't know. Did Lee have his knee down when he fielded that snap? Let's have a look. Here we go again. So as the snap's fielded, Lee's
popped his knee down,
and that's a real good call by the official to spot that quickly. Knee hit the floor before he managed to get the ball into Eves' hands, and so that'll bring up 3rd and 11, Leicester. So a chink of light for Nottingham if they can come up big with this one. It's
actually quite interesting to see Troy do that. He's a very experienced quarterback, played in the States, I believe, and been Derby's starting quarterback for the last season. Also,
you're quite right, he's come from Baltimore, and another flag, and that may well be a delay of game penalty against Leicester. Some indiscipline, or is it some sort of illegal procedure? Let's have a listen to our official.
Delay of game against the offense, 3rd down.
Indeed it is. So 2 mental errors really back to back for the Leicester Falcons. Coach Kassar was saying to us the number of penalties that the Falcons have had this year has been something that's been really plaguing them. Another example of it there, which brings up 3rd and 16. 3rd and 16, Leicester. You would hope that Nottingham can bend and not break on this one and not give up a big play. One receiver in the backfield directly behind Lee this time and trying to make that defense jump, and I think they've got it. And Lee looks up top and he's got a man, but he's going to be overthrown. But I do think that will be 3rd down once again, but it'll go back to 3rd and 11 instead of the 3rd and 16 due to encroachment by the defense.
There is a flag on the play. Let's see what this is.
and distance. So.
Offside, 56 on the defence, still third down.
So there it is, 3rd and 11.
Going to give the Falcons back 5 yards.
So basically, the last 2 plays, the knee down and then the encroachment mean that we've basically have wasted 20 seconds of our lives, because we're back to where we were on 3rd and 11. You would still hope as a defence that you can stop a 3rd and 11 play.
Well, you'd like to think so. As we've just seen from how far Troy's thrown that last ball, he's got some distance.
Look again, Rob Hardwick back deep off, and but he did drop back this time. There's pressure coming, and the sack is made, and Wilkins with the sack, and that is a great big turn of events.
Yeah, that would be huge for the Caesars defence.
Wilkins comes off the end unblocked, and to be fair, I think we've seen Wilkins deliver hits on players that have resulted in.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was a little surprised with the. Here we go again. Look, usually that man's on the floor, and he's taken a little bit of taking down from Wilkins, but nevertheless, big loss of 6 yards again, which will bring up 4th and 16.
Ultimately, a sack's a sack.
Indeed. And a timely sack again, and as we mentioned about the defence carrying the Caesars all year, there we see it again. So Mickey Fisher back deep to return this time. Danny Burton, the punter, also believe that's 23 it is. Burton fields it and kicks up. Fisher will let that one bounce and probably let it run through, and that's going to take a massive Leicester bounce all the way down inside the 10. So interesting decision from Fisher. He may have had a little bit more time to pick that ball up.
Yeah, that's not where the offense is going to want to
but positive again from the Nottingham defence. And right there, he could have. Well, the Leicester coverage team were quite close to him. There is yeah, I think that may well be moving. And it looks like they're marching the Caesars even further backwards due to a personal foul, which listen to our official.
Dead ball, personal foul, 13 red, after the enforcement, first down.
And that is Mark Martin for Nottingham, unfortunately, putting the Caesars in an even bigger hole. So it'll be 1st and 10 on the Caesars' own 4 or even 3 yard line.
Either way, it's a very long field for Caesars.
Yeah, really not where they wanted to be starting, and that extra few yards was just down to well discipline. Better starting on your own 10 than your own 4.
So here we go, 1st down Nottingham. Similar formation once again for Johnson. Green and Jones to the left for Johnson. Molnar and Davidas to the right, and he's got Robbie Jones, and Robbie Jones is in space, and he's round, and he's got enough for the 1st down, and he's still on his feet and out of bounds just outside the 20 yard line. But that'll give Dan and Robbie a lot of confidence, even though that was quite a high ball for Robbie to field. Robbie on the sideline there talking to Coach Giles about
casual chats as he runs back in.
I would hope it was about what that next play was going to be.
Well, you'd like to think so, but I know Robbie.
Yeah, it's probably about chicken.
It would more than likely be about chicken. But that gives him some breathing room, certainly.
Breathing space, confidence for Dan, confidence for Robbie. Let's see if they can build on that. 6 minutes left coming up in the 1st quarter. It's Leicester 6, Nottingham 0 here at the Leicester Road Football Stadium. Johnson, Davidas and Molnar out to the right for Johnson. Jamie Robinson in the backfield. Sorry, Jason Robinson. And Robinson gets the carry and picks up good positive yardage before number 46, Ben Swaby.
Yeah, that was much better blocking. A hole opened up nicely for Jason Robinson to run straight through. 3-4 yards, and it just keeps moving forward.
Indeed, that could, as our down and distance marker suggests, that actually looks around about. It's going to be 2nd and a long 5, but nevertheless, if you're picking up 5 yards on 1st down, it's always positive. It means your offense is finding its rhythm. So Johnson again, same formation. You'll see Nottingham run this formation for the majority of the game. It's been successful in parts, and obviously when you're spreading the field like that, it should open up gaps for Robinson and the other backs. Johnson with time, looks to his left, then goes back to his right, and he's overthrown Davidas a bit, but Davidas makes an unbelievable catch. That is a phenomenal reception, and actually rips it out of the hands of the DB.
That was a pick, and Davidas does a wonderful, wonderful job to get that.
Go Gadget Arms because that looked like completely out of his reach. And there we go,
Well,
Johnson.
I think the DB actually makes that grab.
Let's have a look. Johnson pops that ball up, and that's a mile away from him. And
I think Gums actually makes the grab, and Michaelis just rips it out of his hands.
And once again, speaking about talismanic figures, as we have done with Jamie Sholter, Davidas on offence has been that go-to guy, and indeed he's going to be going out with the Great Britain squad, who go out to, or the Brit Ball squad, should I say, who go out to play in Iceland later in the year.
Ouse Valley.
Ouse Valley it is. So Robbie Jones on the jet sweep this time, and Robbie Jones
that was a low hit.
Gets upended after 4 yards.
Robbie Jones taking the jet sweep.
This is better from Nottingham.
Yeah, Caesar's starting to roll.
I must say that's one of the best receptions I've seen all season from a Nottingham receiver. As Robbie Jones, you see, comes in motion. That jet sweep's worked for them again on more than one occasion. And Robbie Jones, with his acceleration and his burst of speed, is always an effective runner for that particular play. So signs of life from Dan and the Caesars offence. 2nd and 6 inside the Falcons 30-yard line. Nothing any different. Same formation, same personnel. Robinson this time gets the ball and follows a blocker and bounces to the outside and picks up some more positive yardage. Will bring up 3rd and manageable 3 yards.
Yeah, he followed his blocker nicely, waiting for the hole to open. The big thing with Jason Robinson is that when he sees that hole, and there you go, bang, his acceleration is exceptional.
Ashley Fennin there, the guard, pulling round to try and give Robinson some extra help, and he used him to good effect that time. So, as the game is going now, it's turning into a pretty evenly matched game, and even if the Caesars do come up empty on this drive, it will give them confidence that they are able to move the ball against this Leicester defence. So 3rd and 3 Nottingham. Johnson drops back, he's got time, he pops the ball up, he's got a man wide open, and that's Molnar, and Molnar catches the ball but steps out of bounds.
Has he caught it in bounds, and there is a flag on the field.
That's a late flag.
Very late flag, and it looks like it's going to be on Davidas or whoever he was fighting with.
Let's have a look, let's see which way that official is going against Nottingham, the way he's pointed that ball.
Yeah, Davidas just knocking number 26. That's Pete Sandham that he's knocked to the floor before the ball was caught.
So, having said that though, but not the biggest of pass rushers from Leicester at the moment, and Dan has time.
No, but I think...
Pass interference against the offence, number 86, replay 3rd down.
Yeah, you're right there. He has done right in the centre of your screen there.
Yeah, and it was really quite obvious as well.
Davidas,
if you're going to do it, I suppose you better do it properly.
And he's not the smallest of men.
No, he's
going to get those things missed. So that's unfortunately a big 15-yard penalty. In fact, no. It's a 10-yard penalty. My mistake for that pass interference. It'll bring up 3rd and 13 Nottingham. And Johnson got out of a hole earlier on after the initial flag where Robbie Jones caught the ball in space and managed to pick up the 1st down. Let's see if he can respond again. Oh, and that's going to be a false start from Jones. Trying to draw the Leicester defence, but unfortunately the slot receiver Robbie Jones flinched, and that'll be a further 5 yards back for the Caesars.
1 step forward, 2 steps back for the Caesars, and unfortunately this is something we've seen from them too many times this season.
So now make that 3rd and 18 Nottingham on the Leicester 39-yard line.
Well, where do you think this ball's going to go?
Oh, I wonder. Could it be number 86?
I suspect he will be first look. I suppose ultimately if the defence do get the ball back here and it's on a deep pass.
Interesting looking at the safety for Taylor Brown. He's edging towards Davidas' side.
To the left.
He's looking for Jones, and Jones is going up, and Jones had a chance to make that catch.
He did.
And you usually, actually, Robbie Jones has got a real pair of hands normally, and I would have expected him to come down with that one. And he has. Here you go again. Look, Johnson, you are thinking, oh, you're trusting your receivers somewhat, Dan, but...
In fairness to him, Davidas was wide open looking at it at that point.
But anyway, that will be 4th down. So some positives that Nottingham can take from that drive. The fact that we're coming to the end of the first period, the score's only 6-0. Nottingham have moved the ball through the air and a little bit on the ground.
Well, hopefully Danny Johns can put a nice dinky kick into the corner and give the Falcons some real distance to try and score the next points.
Taylor Brown, that's a nice little kick.
A dinky kick.
That is dinky. Now I've got to get out of the way of it. And that's fielded by John Holmes. Nottingham, and Leicester on the 20-yard line.
He actually did well. It was a bobbled snap.
So sum up what you've seen in this first quarter so far, George. Is it what we expected? Is it Nottingham faring better than we might have thought they may have done? Or?
I think with Nottingham, what we've seen so far this season, we can. I don't think anyone really knows what to expect from them. So it's hard to say from their perspective. I think the Falcons, within reason, have come out with what we thought they were going to come out in. They've moved the ball well. They've got the first score of the game. The defense has looked good. But Caesar's defense has been pretty solid, other than that one score, and that's that same play that they scored on earlier in the game. But Rob Hardwick breaking out real quick onto the ball that time.
Kieran Watts, the intended receiver on that one, and you wonder now whether or not the fact that Troy Lee took that hit from Wilkins on the previous drive, whether he'll be wanting to get that ball out a little quicker.
Yeah, I mean, Wilkins is a big boy, and for him to come round completely unblocked as well, it wasn't the biggest hit he's ever put. He could have licked him, but it's enough just to shake a quarterback thinking, well, he came round awfully fast.
So, 2nd and 10, Leicester. Eves motions to the right of Lee this time. 4 receivers set, similar to how Nottingham come out. Oh, and that should be a false start on number 17 for Leicester. Tom Jarrett, aka TJ, according to my notes. So TJ there costing Falcons 5 yards, and whether it's nerves, whether it's the occasion with it being a top of the table clash.
Quite possibly. I mean, for these guys, it's a later point in the day as well. They're not used to playing so late. I mean, most of them will be playing at 2:30, 3 o'clock. That extra 3 hours, you know, it's beer time, really, isn't it, for most of these players? But it's interesting to see from that play, although it was a false start. Again, Troy Lee looking to get that ball out quickly.
TJ once again came to the sideline after that infringement. Another player representing Derby University out here today. So 2nd and 15, and he looks. Oh,
and he nearly got a great grab there.
And that's number 18.
Number 18, Jack Verling.
So from number 17, Tom Jarrett, known as TJ, and we next mention number 18, Jack Verlin, known as JV. Some original nicknames coming out here, but why not?
It's all right, MW. See what I did there? Could have gone with something else.
You'll find that's M-Dog.
M-Dog.
There you go. Anyway.
Is that dog D-A-W-G?
No, D-O-double-G. D-O-double-G. West Coast. So here we go. Big 3rd down. 3rd and 15, Leicester on their own 15-yard line. Nottingham defence really coming to the party now. Let's see whether or not Lee can. And that's going to be another false start.
On the receiver, it looks like JV that was the culprit.
As I mentioned earlier, head coach Kassar mentioned in the pre-game in his interview about the fact that flags and penalties have been plaguing that Leicester offense, rather, and in fact the whole Leicester team.
18, full start on the offense. Still 3rd down.
And we see that continuing this afternoon.
You're going to tell the official off for talking over you?
Oh yeah, I think I need to. It's obviously in the world of commentary, we try and avoid that whenever we can. So 2 minutes left in the first quarter. As I mentioned earlier on, you can get in touch with us here at Caesars TV. We'd love to hear from you to see whether or not you're watching us on this Saturday evening. Get in touch with us, contact the show there, hashtag LEI for Leicester, VS for Versus, not for Nottingham. Hashtag Le Verse Not. There we go. Love to know where you are watching and whether or not you're enjoying the stream this evening. Love to know if we've got some international viewers, as is normally the case here.
Yeah, particularly with a number of international players playing for the Falcons. A number of players, as we've already mentioned, coming across from the States, mainly for university and not going home for this summer. But if you are watching, you want us to pass your message on, please feel free to contact us.
Tell you what, we'd also hope as well, the fact this is a Saturday evening game and there are no other games in the Britball Nation going on tonight.
To think so.
You know, it's a little bit of a...
But it's also a cracking evening, and if you're not watching football, Are you not in a garden somewhere?
Should be barbecuing somewhere, shouldn't you?
If you're at home, and I think, who was it? Well, somebody tweeted in a long while ago, it was possibly Coach Hill, mentioned that he was having a barbecue while watching the stream, and that's multitasking if
you can
nothing else.
You can definitely combine both, absolutely. In this day and age of Wi-Fi.
I mean, I don't have Wi-Fi at home. I live in the dark ages.
You do. But there we go, back to the football. 2 minutes 16 left in the first period. Currently Leicester 6, Nottingham 0. Big 3rd and 20 for Leicester. You would hope that Nottingham will not give up anything big this time as the pressure comes and there's a little screen.
It was a nice screen.
And Beckett, in fact, Brown is met, and he's still on his feet, and he is met, and the Caesars wrap that one up for a loss, and that's really well played from Nottingham, actually.
Yeah, it was. I thought for a second Spartan, number 99, Jamie Schulte for Caesars was going to get called for a bit of a face mask, but it does appear that he didn't grab the cage. So Caesars' defence will be very, very happy with that.
So, it will bring up 4th down. Nottingham hopefully will get this ball in decent field position as Mickey Fisher there is stood on the halfway line. We have seen Danny Burton be very effective on both kickoffs and the initial punt that he had, and it's a low snap, and he's going to have to be quick, and he gets it away, and Fisher is going to let that one bounce. Is he going to field it? He is, and he fields it on the run. Oh, and he's met, and it's a big hit by number 44. Unfortunately, there we go. Denzel Harmit, number 44 for Leicester.
It was actually Denzel Harmit that made that hit on Rob Hardwick earlier. Clearly a big hitting player.
An interesting flag here, and it is actually, I think it is going against Leicester. So will it be number 44, helmet to helmet? In fact, it's going all the way back. Let's see. It's in the end zone. So. Wow.
That's Kieran Matthews, a very experienced player for the both Caesars and the Renegades.
So after all the hard work there by the Caesars defence.
Yeah, and you can see it in Rob Hardwick's face as he walks across the field.
Not sure if we've got a replay at all of that 4th down play, whether we can see, although I would have thought when the ball got kicked away, the camera would probably have moved off it anyway.
Robbie Jones, stop sitting on your helmet.
And there's Coach Warner pacing the sidelines, obviously very frustrated with the way that particular defensive series ended up, and gives Leicester another opportunity, 1st and 10 on their own 22-yard line.
You don't expect that sort of penalty, particularly coming from such an experienced player as Kieran Matthews is.
So 1st down, Leicester. 3 receivers this time, 2 to the right, 1 to the left of quarterback Troy Lee. 2 backs in the backfield with him, and Eves gets the ball again, and he bounces to the outside, and it's a big pickup this time, and he's on his feet before Ashley Matthews and Mickey Fisher bring him down, but not before he's picked up 20 yards and a 1st down for Leicester.
Yeah, huge pickup and a great run. He just breaks his first tackle around the edge, and it looks like Andrew Wilkins trying to make a bit of a shoulder hit, diving in at his legs.
Great play action as well from Lee, who convinced Fraser Beattie, number 60, that he still had the football. Quick hurry-up offense here for Leicester as Lee drops back and he's looking for Watts again, and Watts has off his fingertips. Beaten Hardwick and had high advantage over him.
Yeah, if there is a flag on the play. But, if he hadn't made that grab, that was it. That was a score for sure.
And this one is going, by the looks of things, against Leicester. Although I'm now looking at the officials and the way he's turning his body. Yes, they are going to be marching the Leicester Falcons back. So I can only imagine that's possibly for a hold where the flag's thrown. Let's hear the official word.
Receivers downfield on the offense. Replay 1st down.
So once again, ill discipline from the lineman that time on the Falcons.
Yeah, it's another penalty you see very often, but sometimes those linemen trying to get eager to make that reception.
So 1st and 15, Leicester. A game really of the flag doing more work than either offense at the moment.
Flags flying high, hey?
So 1st and 15. Leicester. 2 running backs, 3 receivers once again. Troy Lee looking again for the read, and this time Wilkins. And the football is still with Eves. And Eves is brought down. In fact, the play is whistled dead as Ashley Matthews is around the ankles of Eves. Some real good deception, and again, Fraser Beattie deceived by Troy Lee, trying to show that he's got hold of the ball even after he's handed it off to his halfback. And that should be the end of the first period. Indeed it is. So here in Leicester, at the end of 1 quarter of play, in what has actually been a pretty tight game after Leicester made that initial score, we have the score of Nottingham Caesars 0, the Leicester Falcons 6.
Yeah, interesting first quarter. I mean, Falcons nearly going up 2 scores at the very end, but a drop pass and an ineligible receiver bringing the ball back.
So here we go, the start of the second period here on this beautiful Saturday evening here in Leicestershire, just outside Hinckley here at the Leicester Road Football Club. I don't think Nottingham will be particularly displeased with how that first period's gone. They've a lot of other teams have had more points put on them by Leicester at this stage of the game than just the 6. So let's see how this second period pans out.
There's that little screen again.
Receiver screen out to JV, number 18, and JV is taken down at the 40-yard line, which will bring up. He'll bring up 4th. 4th down coming up now, and now being inside Nottingham territory. 4th and 4, a big call here for Leicester. Looks like they are going for it on 4th down. 4 receivers, looks like a step back, and the ball is handed off to Eves, and Eves is met before he gets enough for the first down. The pile is looking to be pushed, and that all depends on the spot of the football. Where the officials have marked that, it's going to be ever so close.
Does look like they've marked it short, but I suspect they're going to bring the chains out and have a look.
That is going to be ever so close, and this would be a real momentum turner if Nottingham could hold for this. But I think, looking at where the point of that football is, I've got a feeling this may be a bit of a home advantage and have gone to. And looking at that pile there, look, being pushed.
Yeah, it looks like they're about to bring the chains out for a measure.
I'll tell you what,
I've not seen this for a while.
That's almost not in this this side of the pond. No, that's almost an impossible task there for the officiating crew to know exactly how far that ball got. But they've made their decision. They've spotted the ball right there. Coach Lawless there, you can see on the far sideline.
Just giving an assistance.
Defensive coordinator for the Caesars.
As they're, this is difficult, you know, to get these guys walking out straight as well.
It is.
You'd think with straight lines, but where's the official going?
He's making it all the more dramatic. And it is going to be a Leicester first down by the nose of the football.
Just.
But this is a game of inches, George. And it is no more evident than when the nose of the ball just crosses either goal line or first down marker. And Nat Eves did do enough with the help of his mates there to get that Leicester first down. So a big call on 4th and 4 from Kassar and the Leicester offense, which pays off to keep the Leicester offensive drive alive.
It is a game of inches, just enough inches to cross the line there.
So here we go, first down Leicester. 4 receivers again. Watch number 18, JV, take a step back as he maybe has done on every play so far, trying to sell that slot screen. And he doesn't this time, he heads down the field, but it is JV that's targeted. Ball a little bit behind him. That one falls incomplete, which will bring up second down.
Yeah, another really quick read from Troy Lee there. Some interesting music in the stands. Not your cup of tea, but it is bowling for soup play.
You're quite right. Not what I would chill out to on a Saturday evening, but hey.
I've had a bit of Blink as well. There were words of Guy Kassar getting Blink 182 for the half-time show, but I don't think he's quite managed it.
So here we go, 2nd and 10 Leicester, inside Nottingham territory on the Caesars 36-yard line. Lee motioning his receiver, his slot receiver on the right-hand side in a little bit, and there is a jet sweep, but that's well read, and that's number 24, the one and only Kieran Matthews. Baby bash there, blows that play up in the backfield. What I do like about Troy Lee, though, is something we've mentioned about Dan not necessarily doing, is even when he's given that ball, as you see on this jet sweep, he gives the ball in there to Brown and then still fakes like he's still got the football just to take a pair of eyes maybe off the ball.
He's a bit of a drama queen. Good acting.
Well, I know when I was coaching, you always said to your quarterbacks, if you can just get one pair of eyes looking at you,
absolutely.
You've now got a one-man advantage.
It's good acting, and you see some of the halfback screens and things, and really it's the acting of the offensive line that really sells the play.
But well read that time by Matthews. So 3rd and 12 Leicester. 12 minutes 50 left in the half as Lee drops back, and he's got time, and he puts the ball up top, but that's short. And it's
a fantastic
and he's still on his feet.
17.
Number 17, TJ makes a great grab, and Hardwick, I must say, his game. In fact, that was Mickey Fisher that time. Mickey Fisher's beaten.
Yeah, I mean, really, the DB, that was pickable.
That was.
It just stood there watching it. Look how much time he had in the air.
And it's Bash that ends up saving the day for Nottingham, tackling JV inside the 5-yard line to bring up 1st and goal Leicester on the Caesars 4.
You can't give a receiver that much time to jump in the air and make that grab, particularly somebody of his calibre from what he's shown this year.
So 1st and goal Leicester. Big backfield coming in again. We have number 9, Adam Edwards, former Caesars player, along with number 24, Adam Gums. But this time the ball is up in the air and it's overthrown, looking for number 13, ACJ, Ashton Clark Jackman, in the corner of the end zone. Rob Hardwick on the coverage. So there's the idea again. Bring a full house backfield in and then put the ball up for yours.
Just watching the replay of that last play, number 24, Adam Gums, just doing enough to stop Wilkins making the sack.
But even though that reception was made, you would still have thought those 2 DBs would have brought the man down as well.
Well, yeah, it was poor play.
Here we go, 2nd and goal, Leicester on the Caesars 4. Same formation, 3 men in the backfield, and Eves gets the ball up the middle, and Eves trundles through, and is he in? The score is signalled from the official on the near side. And that's 2nd touchdown of the afternoon for Leicester. 1st for Eves, which takes the score to 12-0 to the Falcons.
Yeah, Coach Lawless won't be happy with that, the Caesars defensive coordinator. It was just really, everything was going for the Caesars defense, and just poor play by the DBs. You've got to attack the ball at its highest point.
This time they do bring on the kicking unit as Ashton Clark Jackman jogs onto the field to make up those numbers on the edge of that offensive line. So Danny Burton back to kick. The kick is up and the kick is good, which now takes the score out to the Leicester Falcons. Nearly said the Leicester Caesars. The Leicester Falcons 13, the Nottingham Caesars 0. And now you would think that Nottingham have to get the next score to keep themselves in this one, with 11:39 left in the 2nd period.
Yeah, that whole drive will be a real downer for the Caesars defense, particularly. You've
got to think they had them 4th down and punting the ball, and the roughing the kicker penalty gave Leicester this opportunity. They then had the 4th and 4, and the no.
That it really. And so for that play to be completed, it's just a fantastic play by JV to make the grab.
Indeed.
Can't take anything away from him.
So Burton once again, Danny Burton, to kick off, checks with his right side, checks with his left side, arm up, puts the ball up, and Hardwick should be able to return another high kick, which he fields at his own 6-yard line. Picks his way through, makes one man miss, he's still on his feet, and he's tripped up by number 45. And that's Ben Swaby. Mentioned his name earlier on. Ben Swaby again on special teams, but there is a flag on the play, I believe, as the officials come together. Looks like it's going to be against the Leicester kicking unit, and more than likely an offside penalty there, as you can see just off camera here in our commentary position. Danny Burton is standing back at his 30-yard line, preparing to kick again. And he questions the official to see. Matt Thomas, DB there for the Falcons, guilty of running in front of the kicker before that ball was kicked. So a little bit of a break, and Nottingham do need a break or two. 13-0 down here in the second period. Yeah,
it's still a close game. I know they're 2 scores down, but certainly winnable at this point.
And they haven't shown that Leicester are actually cutting through them easily. And offense.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Caesar's offense on their last offensive drive managed to move the ball a bit. Caesar's defense, you know, I don't know what to say.
So as we await this kickoff, please do get in touch. We've mentioned it a couple of times now, and normally our commentary position is quite close to our executive producer Steve Matthews, and he gives it a bit of a signal as to when we've got messages in. But we're up in the stands here in Leicester, and Steve and the production crew are down in the car park. So as Hardwick looks to field this one, and he does on the run, picks it up at his 10-yard line, and he's on his feet at the 20, and again brought down. Is that the same man? It is.
It is.
Ben Swaby this time once again. Hardwick gets out to the 26-yard line.
Hardwick took that really cleanly as well on the run across the field.
No flags on the play, and like you say, takes that ball on the run, gets out to the 25, up to the 26, before Swaby brings him down, where Nottingham will take over, and they've actually spotted this at the 27, so it'll be 1st and 10 Caesars at the 27. As I was saying, please get in touch. We love hearing from you. Want to read your messages out. It may well be, as George mentioned earlier on, that you're all either at the barbecue or out at the pub, and it's just me and George watching this on TV and nobody else.
Jimmy's here too.
Jimmy's watching as well next to us, yeah, indeed. So here we go, Caesars first down on their own 27. Johnson hands the ball off to Robinson. Robinson sidesteps a man and actually pushes the pile there from the Nottingham point of view.
Yeah, it just keeps his legs driving as he makes a couple extra yards.
David Thomas, amongst others, line, ably assisting Jason Robinson for a pickup of 5. So 2nd and a long 5. Our graphic says 6 there, but I think it probably is a long 5. We'll call it 6.
Is a long 5 not 6 though, to be fair?
A long 5 could be 5.5. It just depends on that spot.
Do you not round it up though?
We're rounding it up to a 6, okay. So 2nd and 6 there to keep our technical crew happy. Johnson drops back this time. He's got a man in the slot. Oh. Tom Green was the intended receiver, and it's actually low and behind Green.
But he got hands for the ball.
Yep, he did. And Johnson has time. Johnson isn't under too much pressure.
No, it's interesting to see how in the passing game the Falcons don't seem to be putting any pressure on at all, except from those 3 front men.
Absolutely.
Dropping right back into zone.
Indeed.
And the zone defense seems to be working well for them.
I mentioned earlier about getting in touch. I've just had a message from my wife to say that my wife Amanda and the 2 boys Dan and Alex are watching, as they usually do. I must say happy birthday to Alex, who's going to be 7 on Monday.
Well, it's not his birthday then.
No, but I'm going to say happy birthday anyways. Johnson goes up top looking for Green, and Green, it's a great play.
That's a really nice bat down by number 28 of the Falcons, Dom Olney. And then we've previously called for the Coventry Jets, a recent recruit of the Falcons, but he made a great play there to knock the ball out the sky.
So 3rd and 6 turns into 4th and 6. Ambitious play there. It's particularly going against Olney, who is a fantastic athlete and DB.
Should also note, we've got a slight break in play. That Coach Bosley of the Nottingham Caesars isn't with us today, unfortunately. His wife had an accident and is laid up in hospital. He passes on his regards to the players and wishes them all the best.
And we
wish all the best for him too.
Absolutely, to both to Pauline, his wife, and to Barry. Speedy recovery, Pauline, and hopefully, if you're not watching right now, Coach, you'll be able to catch up with this game later on. So Danny Johns back to punt again and gets a nice high punt up, spiraling punt, which is going to bounce in front of Brown and takes a Leicester bounce and goes out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. So anyway, just going back, I'll only mention it briefly again. It's Alex's birthday. He's 6 years old, going into 7 years old. Okay, wish him happy birthday, please, George.
You don't even get a birthday.
George, wish him happy birthday, please. He's listening.
Alex, if you are watching, happy birthday for Monday. Not for today, for Monday.
Had a fantastic party at Clip and Climb in Nottingham today. Oops, bit of free advertising there for Clip and Climb, but nevertheless, there we go. I'll probably get told off for that. Other climbing establishments are available. But thanks for tuning in, Amanda, Dan and Alex, and we will see you when we get back. So here we go, back to the football. It's 1st and 10 Leicester. Trips this time. Leicester on the to Troy Lee's left-hand side. One receiver to the right. And number 25, Joel Gregory, drops the pitch and he gets met.
And that's worked out really, really well for the Caesars defence on the fumble.
Elman and Baby Bash.
I've just seen their Steelers players tweeting us in, just saying that it's nice to see the other game from the conference this weekend. And,
there we go.
Wish you all the best. I believe you've possibly got a game tomorrow.
Coach D. Butler watching the other game from our league this week. There we go. Could mean a lot. Indeed it could. Thanks for watching, Coach Butler.
What's this Steelers familiar?
I don't know. Gloucester Glads, while you're waiting to find out who runs the Glads, support our former captain at Dan Pell 33 as he plays live. Right now, I think that end will be. So 2nd down. Back to twins each side. Number 13. ACJ with the reception, and he's met immediately. Message from my wife there, George. Thank you, George. Thank you, George. See, it's appreciated.
Was that an invite to play Lego?
We'll also have a whole heap of Lego at our house ready.
Other building blocks may also be available.
Other construction toys are available, but
do they still make Connects? Not Connects, is it Connects?
Yeah, Connects and other building franchises are also available.
Duplo.
Duplo is an arm of Lego, so.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But then, enough with the plugs. Contact the show. Stop us talking and giving free advertise now. Hashtag Less versus
you
Not.
sort of plug Lego together.
We did. Hey, 3rd and a mile. As Lee goes over the middle. Oh, and Mickey Fisher
nearly had his head took off.
He saw that before reception and pulled out. But that will bring up 4th down.
Again, interesting to see Wilkins making that hit on Troy just as the ball was released, and you saw the wobble as he released it.
And that's really important to keep that Caesars defence making in Troy's head. I think Troy during the year has had time to do pretty much what he wants on offence, and obviously it's rattled in those couple of hits, and we've seen the ball wobble out, even though TJ made a nice grab on the last drive.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see where Wilkins is lined up this week. He's on the same side as Jamie Sholter, who is an exceptional player when he's on form.
So Robbie Jones back deep, but it's not going to reach him, this punt. It takes a Leicester bounce and goes out of bounds just before midfield, where Nottingham will take over in the best field position they've had for starting field position. It'll be 1st and 10 Nottingham at this Leicester 47-yard line.
From Mark, protect your nest. Falcons.
Watching Getting My Drink game on from Countersthorpe in Leicester. I hope I pronounced that right. Falcons player. Come on, Greens, protect your nest.
Falcons don't really tweet, though, do they?
No, what do Falcons do? Anyway,
managing
to catch up with at Caesars football game. Slightly depressed, however, Mr. Nick Mason. Yeah, well, early, still 8:51 left in the second. Caesars have got a good opportunity here. Keep those messages flooding in. If you want to tweet in any photos of where you're watching the game, any barbecues that are going on. I'm particularly hungry at the moment.
There's a barbecue going on here as well.
Half-time we're on it as Robinson gets the ball inside and breaks that first interior really defensive line.
And actually, you mentioned it earlier, Dan Johnson not making the acting move. That time he did.
That may well have kept an extra pair of eyes on him and picked up.
Hawkeye's shifted.
6 yards on 1st down. Look at that. I tell you what, this
I think they may have heard us.
Do you know what? If that's what it takes, if all it takes is us to mention we're hungry or we're in the need of something, and then one of our crew bring up some sustenance to the booth. Oh, as number 96 for Leicester. That's Sam Olandayano.
Man must have heard about the cookies.
Thank you ever so much, Aidan. Appreciate that. As the cookies are delivered to the booth. Now, the trouble is, though, we've got to be careful how we eat the cookies so it doesn't interfere with commentary. Alex is looking over longingly from the camera position.
I'm going to be very professional and wait till half-time.
Offside with contact, against the defence, 1st down.
So momentum does appear to be on the Nottingham side at this point in the second quarter with 8 minutes 13 remaining. That'll bring up an automatic 1st down due to the fact that it was 2nd and 5. So 1st down Leicester. 1st down Nottingham, in fact. And they find themselves in good field position, knocking on the door as Dan takes the ball. He's got time. He looks to his left.
Got
he looks.
Davidas open.
And that's, oh my word. Number 28, Dom Olney again with an easy pick. And he's
Robbie
on his
Jones making the tackle.
But
now, that looked like a miscommunication, I think. Dan saw Michaelis running a post, and just as the ball's released, he turns back in up towards the corner.
He does. And I think, like you say, I think Johnson was expecting Davidas to continue on that post.
And if Davidas had remained on that line, I think he may have got the grab.
Difficult to tell from up here who was in error.
Great tackle by Robbie Jones, though.
Indeed. I say difficult to tell who was in error, whether it was the quarterback or the receiver.
Either way, Dom only made a fantastic pick.
Not under a great deal of pressure, though, and an athlete like Dom.
But he still had to make the grab.
So momentum swings back to the green of the Leicester Falcons. 7:59 left in the second. 13-0 Leicester currently hold a lead, and they will look to strike, and more than likely strike quickly. And this time it's handed off.
Big running back he is. He really hits that hole with the force.
Nat Eves on the carry again, met by Bash and Tom Harvey, number 67. Going to say it again. Oh, here we go. Aggie Fox podcast. Keep it up, Falcons. Loving this so far. Great to hear from you. Must say as well at this point.
How do you spell Levi's? Just out of curiosity.
Levi's is Levis.
I was going to say, because I'm sure that said Levi's not, then I thought it was the wrong way around.
So second and 10.
I don't think I'm dyslexic, but...
Overthrown this time, looking for Kieran Watt, the intended receiver, but again that looked like a bit of a miscommunication. Watt's cut back inside, and Lee, it appeared, expected him to go a bit deeper down the field.
Other genes are also available.
Commentators talking about two horrible things to stand on barefoot: Lego and plugs. You're quite right. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, you're quite right. Nothing. I don't think I've experienced pain and like anything other than standing on a Lego brick, particularly in a dark room at 2 in the morning.
I stood on the tack once. That hurt.
Oh, we don't tend to have many tacks lying around our house at the moment. Anyway, big third down coming down here for the Nottingham defence, particularly 3rd and 10 Leicester. And Lee drops back to pass again. Got his head up, and he's got a man. He's got a man, and he attempts the one-handed catch. Does JB? But fortunately for the Nottingham defence, that falls incomplete, and it will be 4th down and the punting unit return for Leicester.
Yeah, it was the right read, just a slight overthrow from Troy Lee.
Message from my wife. Why is George talking rubbish?
What?
We'll have a little conversation here. She's messaging again. Look, so we'll see what she's got to say. She's probably going to tell me off for communicating that, but anyway. So, 4th down.
What have I done wrong now?
4th down.
I'll never be good enough for Amanda.
Which is why she married me. 23 back to punt, Danny Burton. Once again, Robbie Jones looking to return this one. And the punt is hurriedly kicked away. And it takes a Leicester bounce once again and continues to bounce. And is downed at the Nottingham 25-yard line, where the Caesars will start their next offensive possession. I must say as well, obviously people watching, great to know that we're getting the tweets flooding in now. Say hello to Maureen Walker, who's just tweeted me not to be, or just messaged me not to be outdone by my wife. I'm watching too. Well, nice to know you're watching your son rather than Wimbledon. Let us know how Federer and people are getting on. It'd be good to know.
American.
Excellent. First shout out from the other side of the pond. Shout out to my friend Troy Jackson. Played high school football and junior college ball with him here in LA, California. So good to hear from you watching out on the West Coast. We're actually on the West Coast. It's just before midday, so 11 a.m. on the West Coast at the minute. As Holmes gets a big run up the middle and nearly breaks it just before the first down by number 46. And that's Palm Sidhu for...
Seems to be one of the few runners that if you do manage to give him an inch of space to run through, he'll get you 7 yards to say thank you.
And from earlier on, where Leicester's interior defence was pretty stout, Nottingham on the last couple of drives have had some success running up the middle.
Yeah, Falcons seem to have been putting less pressure up the middle. I think they're sort of taking the runs now, and they know that the Caesars, when Dan's on form, particularly, are a real threat through the air.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what they're playing against now.
So here's that jet sweep again, and the jet sweep, and jet sweep. Oh, dearie me!
Quite questionable throw there.
And number 3, Taylor Brown, this time picks the ball off and then runs over Robbie Jones, and that's a flag. And I think that will be a personal foul against number 3. Let's have a look, see if we can pick up on the replay what that flag might be for. We'll wait for the official word to begin with before we look at the replay. Officials just discussing the back end of that interception return by Taylor Brown. And here we go, here's the call.
Dead ball. Unsportsmanlike conduct. We've got 86 on the red. First down.
That would appear to be on Davidas Michaelis there.
Frustration, I think. Not seen that play this season from Nottingham yet. Did you know that was in the playbook?
I've heard rumours, but I'm not entirely convinced. It was supposed to be the play they were running. Robbie didn't quite look set in the pocket. He seemed to almost turn around as if he was running the jet sweep to look backwards and saw nothing there and just launched the ball upfield.
Robbie, obviously a player for you for the past 2 or 3 years with the junior Caesars.
Do you know, interestingly, he has actually had
I remember that
completion.
He has. I do remember that.
10-yard completion against the Birmingham Lions.
I do. That was last year, wasn't it?
It wasn't. Was it? It was
I think
last
it was.
year, yeah.
I remember that. But anyway, Leicester now take over in fantastic field position as number 24, I believe. It is number 24.
James Beckett and Andrew Wilkins, the 2 guys that stuff him in the backfield.
And Adam Gums, number 24, the running back for the Falcons.
Adam Gums, brother of Wayne Gums, who is the DC.
So, looking for power now, the Falcons, with Gums in the backfield.
Yeah,
flag on the play again.
A big running back, not that Eves isn't.
It's the defense, number 22, still first down.
Things falling apart a little bit.
Yeah, discipline. These are all silly penalties now, and penalties will punish you.
And I'll be honest with you, even though there's 5:09 left in the second quarter, if Nottingham go 20 points down, it's going to be a real steep climb.
Yeah, with what we've seen so far, like we've said it before, we've said it again, and we'll say it again, I'm sure. It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
There have been signs of life from this Caesars outfit today, but too many mistakes, too many bad decisions, and it looks like an option this time as Lee keeps the ball and met hard by Bash, number 31.
Troy sort of leading with his head there as he went into contact.
I think as well that was looking like it was going to be an option play, but outside contain was good, forcing Lee to cut back inside and meet Ashley Matthews for a pickup of a couple. Bring up actually for a pickup of 7 or so, so it brings up 2nd and 3. In fact, no, it'll be a couple. My mistake because of the encroachment penalty on the previous play, so I'll correct myself before anybody else does it out there in TV land. So 2nd and 3 Leicester on the 10-yard line as 25. Joel Gregory gets the ball, still on his feet, and scoots into the end zone for a...
There is a flag on the field.
And this could be coming back, because this could be against Richard Swain, rather. A Swede, number 66 for the Falcons.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. A little bit of a scuffle between him and Tom Harvey. Tom does have a bit of temper at times. I've witnessed it myself.
Jamie Sholter clapping there as if this could be against the Falcons, which will negate the score. Troy Lee, their quarterback, going up to Tom Harvey and giving him a fist bump almost.
They are teammates.
Teammates at Derby University.
They are both at Derby, yes. Although this year Tom has moved to the Renegades, but will be playing for the Renegades. He's been accepted on a teaching course, primary teaching course, I believe, at Nottingham Trent University.
Following in the footsteps of teams are walking off, which would suggest that the try will be good, and it would suggest it'll be assessed on the kick-off, as it will more than likely be against Nottingham. And I'll be honest, the Nottingham team are walking off rather dejected, heads down, with a first half score of 20-0 in favour of the team from Leicester.
60 over 69 on the offence. That penalty is going to be enforced on the kick-off. The point after is good.
So Fraser Beattie and Chris...
On the offence, it'll be Paul Johnson of the Leicester Falcons and Dan Charlton of the Leicester Falcons.
Thank you very much, my mistake.
Before you accused players that weren't on the field at the time.
My mistake. So if that's the case, why is the try good? If the offence was against the kicking team and it was during play, which it was, why is the point attempt good and it's still being marched back? That's surely a question that somebody's got to be asking. Why it doesn't appear that Coach Warner is questioning that. It's a bit of a baffle one down here.
Well, whether the whistle had blown and the chock block then happened, well,
it'll be an interesting one.
If you are watching and you know the ruling on that play, just pop us a tweet in and let's get your thoughts on it.
Oh, he did, and Hardwick there may be flagged for that because his knee was down. He may have been down, but there was no whistle blown. No, that is true.
Play to the whistle.
I'll be really interested. Either we've missed something there. There's a flag again, though. This one looks like it's going to be offside against the Falcons once again, which will march them either further back. Burton still remains with the tee in hand around where the kickoff occurred, so this one's coming back once again.
It's the official.
Here we go from the referee.
Seems to be a little bit of confusion.
Kickoff formations are resetting though, so I'm sure that is what the call is. Let's see if it's
Offside against the kicking team, number 8.
Oh dear.
Bring in the kick-off.
And once again, that's Matt Thomas. We've called his name twice tonight, and unfortunately for the same reason.
It'll be interesting to get a replay of that last play to see if Rob's knee actually did touch the ground or whether he just hovered.
Well, regardless, it won't matter because we're replaying the kick. And surely now Hardwick and the Caesars will get really good field position with 3:41 left in the half and an opportunity to put some points on the board to go in at half-time with a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and they really do need to get a score here.
Going back to the extra point try, I genuinely would be really interested. I've been in the game a fair few years and coached and obviously played, but I can't still quite fathom why, as the kick goes up from Burton, and this time it's fielded by Iannucci, and Iannucci's up to midfield and then sort of almost pulls out of that contact.
Well, he has come off an injury. I suspect that's probably running through his head a little bit, but he missed a good 6 weeks, I believe.
So here we go, Nottingham start in real good field position. 3:31 on the clock, 3 timeouts, 3:36 on the clock rather, 3 timeouts remaining. 1st and 10 on midfield. All the pieces in place to be able to put a good offensive drive in.
And Coach Warner and Dan Johnson will be looking to get something done here, and they really need to get that score, and it needs to be a touchdown to keep them in this game.
And they've got to go back to the bread and butter. These are whether that half-back pass was a design play or Robbie, I can't believe Robbie chose to do that on the hoof.
I don't know.
Well, if he did, he needs to talking to.
No, I suspect it was an option play. Ooh.
Holmes on his feet, gains 3. 2nd and 7 upcoming for Nottingham. So yeah, again, I've tried to go back to this play a couple of times. If anybody can just clarify why that penalty on the extra point was assessed on the kickoff, but the extra point try was classed as good. I'll be really, really interested to know, because Coach Lees, James Smith and I up here are both almost scratching our heads a little bit, so just be interested. Anyway, first down. First and 10. Second and 7 after the Holmes run. Second and 7, Nottingham. Dan surveys the field. Looks one way. He's got Davidas who drops the ball.
Well, I mean, Davidas had to jump to get the ball, but it's...
I don't think he needed to jump, actually. I think that ball was pretty much in his breadbasket there.
Looking at Davidas's reaction to number 46 of the Falcons there, obviously said something in his ear. He is very, very frustrated.
So 3rd and 7, and I wonder at this point, whether or not 3rd and 7, 2:47 left, 20 points down. Do you go for it on 4th down?
And how much do you trust your defence? The issue they've had today is ill discipline.
Yeah.
And usually, I think you trust the Caesars defence to do it.
Johnson back to power. That one's floated.
Davidas, but
great grab by Davidas, and he's on his feet still.
In.
And he's still on his feet, and he turns and he's in for the score. No flags. Touchdown, Nottingham. Number 86, Davidas Merkelis.
Well, that's one way to make up for a drop catch.
And he beats Wayne Gums, number 1 in coverage there. Wow.
And again, number 3 was the man that went up with him, Taylor Brown, who'd got that earlier interception of Robbie Jones's attempt.
And I'll be perfectly honest with you, when that ball came out of Johnson's hand, it was almost like a punt. There wasn't a great deal on it.
Yeah.
It was sort of hanging up there. And yes, Davidas is big, but those DBs for Leicester are also sizable.
He is one of the few receivers in Division 1 that can make things happen out of nowhere.
Sam Kinnelly, the holder for this extra point. Dan Johnson, quarterback on to kick. Dan Johnson, ex-goalkeeper, as I've mentioned in previous weeks. Johnson, kick is up. The kick is good, and that reduces the deficit to a score of 20-7, and Nottingham find themselves 13 points adrift with
If only our government could reduce the deficit that quick.
2:36 left.
Am I allowed to say that on air? Are we allowed to say that?
You can say anything as long as you don't interrupt me. 2:36 left in the second period.
No, and sorry to interrupt you. As you've just told me not to.
Go again.
But no, Davidas is that. He does that. He's whilst the quarterbacks have a tendency to look for him almost every time, he does have that tendency to make things happen out of thin air.
Big play threat, Davidas. So 2:36 left in the second period, leading up to half-time. Just been informed that the audio is coming through loud and clear at home with you there, but seem to be having a few issues with the video. A bit choppy, I believe, at home, so apologies for those technical issues. We'll continue to broadcast on the air as number 18. That's JV, Jack Verlin, returns the ball up to the 26-yard line. So yeah, once again, apologies for the technical issues we're having with the choppy stream. Bear with us. Steve and Tom and the crew will be doing their best to get that as smooth as possible. But hopefully you can keep up to speed with the audio from George and I. Keep us updated with where you're watching from. Hashtag Less LEI versus not. Hashtag how do you spell that? LEI versus NOT. Anyway, that's the hashtag to get in touch with us. We'll give you a shout out. And as I say that,
it's one of those that only works as a whole word, I think.
It does, yeah. As I say that, shout out again to my mum. If you can let me know, Mum, how the tennis is going, that'd be brilliant. Still playing on centre court.
How old are you?
Why?
You're still a mama's boy.
What? No, I just have a very good relationship with my mum and dad. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's a shame you don't, George. So here we go. First down, Leicester, as 21 comes in motion. Man over the middle. Oh, Mickey Fisher was lurking there as JV just bats that ball away from him.
Stephen Brown getting the pressure on behind him as well.
So JV plays DB and takes the ball away from Mickey Fisher on first down.
Troy's got a real sling on that arm. It's fired out at some pace with some force, and it's a wonder any of his receivers make these grabs.
Yeah, you're right. Big receivers though, big athletic receivers. 21 there. Kieran Watts coming in motion, trying to sell that jet sweep.
They've got a few buckled fingers.
Big play ability, big threat ability from Davidas. Anything could happen in the second half. So we will take a quick break. We will come back and join you in about 10 minutes, where we'll review the first half and get ready for second half action here from the Leicester Road Football Stadium in Hinckley. We'll be back in a bit.
Here we go.
I think it's gone pretty well. Certainly from an admin side of things, I think it went as smoothly as possible. We had 78 people attend and train, a good 20 odd returning players and coaches helping out as well, so well over 100 people here tonight, so quite chuffed.
I mean, you got 6'3" guy who's beat you like a 5'10" or 5'9" guy.
Oh, mate, I mean, I'm going to be pouring drills. I mean, my back is still hurting from carrying you last season.
Really? Carrying you last season, right? He was scoring all the points for the team, bro.
I mean, defense and special teams. Defense and special teams combined for a
I'm not so sure, man. Oh wait, what happened? We got shut out and our defense gave up the only score of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like what sort of defense gives up one score in a game?
I know, right? We lost 6-0.
What a terrible defense.
What happened? Right? All we needed was...
offensive line coach. Quality of the rookies that we've got down is amazing. Lots of guys obviously work out, athletic guys, and also lots and lots of people down here, what we like to see. I think it bodes well for 2017. I think certainly down the stretch you need a lot of depth on your team, and certainly seeing some of the guys, you know, working out over the past 3 weeks, really confident that certainly down the stretch they'll be able to add that depth that we need, but also really want the guys to contribute during the regular season, pre-season games, get the guys some experience, but overall really pleased.
So I'm David Merkelis. I'm a wide receiver for Nottingham Caesars. This is my second rookie camp. Last year was my first year. I came in, went 6-4. Went to the playoffs, which was my personal goal, so I was very happy about that. Unfortunately got knocked out, but we'll come back stronger. At the awards night, I won Receiver of the Year, which I was very pleased with. I didn't expect it at all, but it's something I'm definitely going to work towards for this upcoming year as well. I think I would like to play against Leicester, because it's been a nemesis of mine, even when I played for my previous team, Lincolnshire Bombers. We just haven't got the legs to do it. I haven't got the legs to beat them. But hey, new team, you know. Hopefully, you know, we'll meet them in the playoffs or something, and hopefully we'll get a good run at each other.
coaching is the best I've ever had.
The amount of effort they put into the sessions is phenomenal.
We're able to give a level of instruction that these players aren't typically used to.
Everything we really thought we previously knew, getting turned upside down.
I'd just like to say a big thank you to all the guys from the team that's turned out today with the food. I know for some of you guys it's out of your comfort zone, but I do appreciate that. Well, today we've had the whole team in today into church, which is a once a year thing. It's an annual thing now. It's a food collection. We fill the church pantry up for those that are less fortunate than us, and it's difficult to understand in these days if there is anybody like that, but there is, and a lot of them are young people. Anybody can come in, and we do get people coming from out of town that just walk by, and for whatever reason they either know about it, but they'll come in and they're made more than welcome. Bringing the food to church is just that one step. As a coach, I can make them do anything or more or less anything on the field. But what they've done today is all their own doing. They've took the time to get food for the pantry, to supply it to people that need it, to help somebody else and not just think of themselves. And that to me is magic, especially for young people. This is my church that I come to, so this is the one I support. But I don't say that we shouldn't support all the others, you know. And I do believe that should the church pantry become full, I think then it is passed on to other places that need it. You know, you can't say this is what we need. If I got one tin, it's a bonus. We've got many tins of food, so again, it's a big bonus. You know, putting a figure on or whatever, you go each year and expect everybody to turn up, which they've done today, bought some food. I'm absolutely over the moon. I'm so proud of all our guys. I really am. I think everyone stepped up.
second one off Robbie's interception. Up until then, the defence had done well.
It was Mark Martin that let that grab.
Okay, so welcome back here to a sun-drenched Leicester Road Football Stadium, where the second half will shortly be getting underway here. To my left, the Falcons are going through their second half warm-ups. Caesars have already completed theirs, and they're just huddling in preparation for the second period. Keep tweeting us. Here's one from Nick Mason again. Run out of beer. Anyone have anything to share? Perhaps we need popcorn too. This will be a good second half. I think it will, if Nottingham can stop Leicester on their opening possession. Because if you remember, Leicester deferred at the beginning of the first half, and which means they will receive the opening kick of the second period. So please do contact us here at the show. Hashtag LEI for Leicester versus NOT for Nottingham. So, George, what do you think we can expect from this second half?
Well, anything can happen. I think that's the thing to say, really, isn't it? Anything could happen. We've seen it all in that first half. It just be nice to see Caesar's offense clicking properly, getting a nice, clean, crisp game. Falcons, they're starting to move the ball a bit more. Interesting talk with Jimmy just a moment ago. Both of the scores from the Falcons, or all the scores from the Falcons, have come from turnovers.
Absolutely.
And Caesar's defense just a bit rushed to get on the field, perhaps. But it really is a case where, as Nick Mason's just tweeted in, get the popcorn ready, because this could be a real nail biter.
Jimmy went to have a word with the officials for us at half-time regarding that penalty on the extra point. Can you clarify how did it manage it? What was the situation?
So we went across to have a word with the officials, and it did happen in live play. So basically the situation was that the option was given to the Caesars head coach. He could either allow the points and have it tacked on to the kickoff, which he did have, or replay the kick 15 yards further back. He elected to take the possession, the field position, and it worked out for them. They got the score. Okay, they've given up a single point as well, and points in this game could be a real thing of gold. But they got the possession in a good spot. It actually turned out further back because of the offside.
Absolutely.
And they managed to get that touchdown from it.
So who's happier going into half-time? Leicester having put 20 points on the board, or Nottingham for scoring late on and obviously maybe giving themselves a little bit of hope?
It's a difficult one to say. I've just spoken to some of the Caesars sideline. There have been mixed moods, I think is fair to say. They've got a situation whereby they're really happy with that final score, but they know there's things they've got to get better. They've got to click more. They've got to stop the ill discipline. They're aware of what they're going wrong. And Falcons, I think, are in a similar sort of boat. They'll be happy with the result at half-time, within reason, except that giving up that score in the final minutes. But they know they can get the ball moving. They've been a high-powered offense all season long.
So here we go then. Danny Johns gets the second half underway, and a nice kick-off to JV Jack Verlin, who fields the ball, and oh my word, that, I don't know why, number 23 for Nottingham, that's Premvir Johal. I don't know why he's celebrating like that, because that was really awful. There is no place for that in this game.
That is a deliberate trip there.
Well, you can see here again on that replay, just sticks that leg out. It almost kicks him rather than trips him. That, I'm afraid for me, that's got to be a more than just a penalty.
Yeah, no attempt to make the tackle at all. It's likely to be unsportsmanlike, but what they do.
But then to come up cheering and in the face of like he's actually made a play. Wow, here we go.
First on red, and we also have dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct, 23 red. Okay, after the enforcement, it'll be first down.
Well, I think
that boy is going to get a grilling.
Well, I'll tell you what. Number one, I think he's very lucky still to be on the field. Number two, if he is on the field, and it's not coming out for this particular kickoff, but if he is on the field, I think everybody in a green shirt will be looking for number 23.
I suspect so. I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous.
Despicable. Genuinely. We're at Caesars TV and we don't want to see that sort of behaviour in the game on any level. So anyway, it will be first down Leicester on the Nottingham 33-yard line after the 2 penalties. So straight away, Leicester in the ascendancy for a real piece of not only ill discipline but stupidity. So quarterback Troy Lee under centre once again. 2 receivers. Oh, Wilkins hits Eves in the backfield and Eves goes nowhere. Ordinarily speaking, when Wilkins hits you, you stay hit and you go down very quickly, but such is the stature of Nat Eves for Leicester. It took a couple of Wilkins' mates to come and help him again. So 2nd and 13. Apologies for the scoreboard at the minute, just trying to get that ironed out for you in terms of the clock and the down and distance marker, but it is 2nd and 13 Leicester after that hit from Wilkins. If you were with us right at the beginning of the game, in fact that's a timeout. So interesting, not one play of the second half under our belts and we already have Leicester down to 2 timeouts in this period. As I was saying, if you were here with us at the beginning of the game, you would have heard the stadium announcer mention about the fact that Nottingham are one of the oldest clubs in the league. Falcons were formed in 2007 and joined the league after their associate year in 2008, and that was a 100% rookie team. No players had ever played at that team at that time. In 2009, they came through as underdogs to beat Colchester in the Division 2 final. The last-second extra point to tie the game for the Glads, but that hit the posts. So the Falcons won by that missed extra point. So 2nd and 13. Fumble by Lee, and he picks the ball up. And he is tackled after a pickup of 3. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Mickey Fisher gets up, and the Caesars sideline scream. Troy Lee not having the best start to the second half, and I think tensions are definitely rising. We've had 1 kickoff, we've had 1 play, and we've had a little bit of a fracas on both those occurrences.
Yeah, it was interesting speaking to Coach Lawless at half-time, and he said he's seen a little bit of friction between players, although so far in the first half they'd shaken hands after any incidents that had happened. But, that is not a good start for either squad in terms of the you know, the sort of afters that we're seeing.
No. 3rd and 9. Lee looks one way and he's wrapped up again and he's slammed to the turf. Wilkins again with the sack.
Sack number 3.
Great leadership there from Wilkins. Not sure about the celebration afterwards, but
it was questionable, but I think he deserves it. He's been a real standout player for the Caesars so far.
Barton there with the assist, number 99, Jamie Sholter. And that will be 4th and a mile, 4th and at least 23. Once again, apologies for our scoreboard, having a few technical errors issues at the moment. It is 4th and long, as Robbie Jones is back on his own 10-yard line, ready to receive the kick from Danny Burton. Oh, the kick is skewed off Burton's foot, and that will go out of bounds at the 35-yard line of Nottingham. So after an initial issue on that opening kickoff, so Nottingham survive.
So we're about 12 minutes into the 12 minutes left.
See here, General Manager Guy Kersey having a word with Troy Lee about His actions saw Kersey shaking his head at his quarterback, obviously wanting him to keep his head. Also, Andrew Mepstead, backup QB, is speaking with Lee now, obviously about what he's seeing. But anyway, 1st and 10, Nottingham. Johnson. Oh, Johnson fields a high snap, manages to get the ball to Robinson, but Robinson is met immediately for a loss of 2.
Yeah, not a great start for the Caesars offense there. But, Caesars defense holding really, really strong to reduce the after effects of that awful penalty.
So we've got a little bit of a break in play. Games we've got coming up tomorrow. We've got the Samwell Steelers taking on the Coventry Jets.
Yeah, the other divisional game in this conference.
Other Div 1 games going on tomorrow. We've got the Oxford Saints against the Ouse Valley Eagles. In the Prem, the Bristol Aztecs against the Bury Saints. And also the Edinburgh Wolves against the Merseyside Nighthawks. Colchester Gladiators and the Kent Exiles square off in Division 1. As that is going to be a dead ball foul, full start. And that's Neil Morley for the Caesars, being a little too eager. Who else can we bring you? Doncaster Mustangs against the West Coast Trojans. Cambridgeshire Cats against the London Olympians. So, Johnson flips the ball out to Jones. Jones gets round one tackler, tries to spin round number 40, Kurt Davey, but is taken down. So that'll be 3rd and 12, Nottingham, inside their 35-yard line. Tamworth Phoenix will play the East Kilbride Pirates in the Premiership. The Sheffield Giants against the Lancashire Wolverines, and the Blitz against the Warriors. Blitz Warriors will be tasty as always.
They will. Blitz beating Warriors already this season.
3rd and 12. Johnson back to pass, overthrows Robbie Jones.
That was an awful
look down the sideline.
Yeah, he's got Tom Green open, although DB did drop the coverage. He obviously read Dan Johnson's throw. Caesar's looking to kick the ball away.
Interesting ethos for the Leicester Falcons in our research this week. Hard work beats talent, but when talent works hard, it's unbeatable. Hard work beats talent, but when talent works hard, it's unbeatable. Quite like that. So 4th down, Nottingham. Johns gets the ball away, and it's a good kick as well. And it takes a Nottingham bounce, and Brown lets it roll, and it continues to roll inside the 15 down to about the 11-yard line, where Leicester will take over.
So not the best of starting points for the Leicester Falcons offense, but Caesar's defense will be very, very happy with the amount of field they've got to defend.
Quick shout out, we've got Zachary watching in Virginia. Good afternoon, or good evening from England. Obviously good afternoon over there stateside. Good to have you on board with us. So, what would really help Nottingham at this point, with 10:15 left in the third, is if they could create a turnover. Get that ball.
Yeah, it's the one thing that defense has really been lacking so far, is that that ability today to get the picks. Usually, well, I say picks or fumbles, but usually we see them get 1 or 2 in a game.
1st down, Lee pitches the ball to his right to a new running back. That's Ashton Patterson, and Patterson maybe picks up a yard.
Like it was Stephen Brown that made the initial hit.
There we go, you see Lee pivot to his right and pitch the ball, and I think you're right. I think that was number 6, Stephen Brown, on the tackle. Good initial defensive stop from the Nottingham team. 2nd and 9. As Patterson leaves the field, replaced by number 25, Joel Gregory. 2nd and 9, Leicester. DB's quite far back, looking to pass quickly, and it's caught by JV, number 18, who breaks one tackle, but then is wrapped up by 2 Caesars, one of which was number 20, Mickey Fisher.
Yeah, another grab to add to his belt. He's been a really effective receiver so far.
GM Guy Kersey says about highlights of the club. Obviously the 2 bowl wins, he says, but the wins against Sandwell this year were very satisfying. Not just the wins, but the spectacle that was put on, and was a great advert for the game, as number 21 Kieran Watts makes the reception, and he will have enough for the first down, and those chains will move for the club in green this afternoon. So yes, the advert for the game, particularly in that first Sandwell game, which was just an absolute shootout. It also mentions the fact that off the field, the club have raised £10,000 for Loris by filling the Crumbie stand at Welford Road, home of the Tigers, the Leicester Tigers rugby union outfit. So on and off the field accomplishments for the Leicester Falcons. Asked if they've got a nickname for the club, and the official nickname is the Green Machine, apparently. Although they claim that people around the Britball community have other names which they wish to avoid. But Green Machine is the official one. Oh, big hole. Nat Eves with a big hole. And he's still on his feet, and Fisher and Wilkins push him out of bounds. But not until he gets a first down and inside Nottingham territory.
Well, you can see why they nickname him Beast Mode.
Absolutely. You can indeed.
Similar traits, not quite NFL standard, but very similar traits to Mr. Marshawn Lynch.
And he hits the hole at full speed. Good commitment there from Wilkins and Fisher to chase him down.
Real explosiveness as he powered through that hole.
Takes a breather on the sideline, gives his teammates a bit of a hug. And Taylor Brown takes his position in the backfield to give Nat Eves a bit of a breather. Trips to the right-hand side of the field this time for Leicester. Troy Lee looks that way and then hands off to Brown, and Brown's got a big hole up the middle, and he's brought down by Fisher. But again, good pick-up on first down, which is 2nd and 2.
Falcons really starting to fly high. Running backs really hitting those holes now and making really nice yardage.
And we said it before, but obviously Leicester were 20-0 ahead, and Nottingham managed to get that 7-pointer on the board before the half. But another Leicester score here with the time ticking down would be an absolute mountain to climb for Nottingham. And like you say, the confidence that the Falcons will be gaining from this particular offensive series. That's number 24, Adam Gums.
Big hole opened up.
Adam Gums gets the ball, but it's closed very quickly. But it is enough for a first down again, and the Green Machine keep on rolling.
There you go, look at that hole.
Yeah, the offensive line now really having the way with that Caesars defensive front. Asked them about any former players who were considered greats for the Leicester Falcons, and former Denver Bronco Bradley Van Pelt played for them in 2010. First and 10, Leicester on the Nottingham 20-yard line. 5:36 left in the third period. Lee drops back, he's looking to pass this time. Wilkins is there again, and Wilkins makes the pass fall incomplete due to the fact that Lee could not step into that throw, and he's definitely got Wilkins in his head. Definitely.
Yeah, you know, Wilkins has got him in his sideline, and you know, to some extent, whilst the Caesars defense has been playing really well as a team, Wilkins has been the man of the moment.
And to be fair, he's unblocked again off that right end of the Caesars defensive
and
line.
And he reads the snap so well. And you know, he's not slow by any means, but he's not quick either. And for him to just come through like that, well, from an offensive coordinator's point of view, well, it's just unacceptable.
But again, you can see he's uncovered here at the end of the line. You can see him on your screen there, his boots, but he's completely uncovered. And you'd think 2nd and 10, this is going to be a pass again, but actually picked up in the backfield, and the ball's put up, looking at Hardwick, and the ball is caught. It's number 18, Jack Verlin, over the top of Hardwick again.
Second touchdown for Jack Verley today.
Lovely pass, lovely reception, over his shoulder, corner of the end zone. 6 more points added to the Leicester total.
Hardwick just caught stargazing a little bit there.
And also there is that height disadvantage for Rob.
There is, yeah. Hardwick's gone up against some tall receivers. I mean, to be fair, Verley isn't that tall in comparison to number 21.
Kieran Watts, who's running off the field with.
But,
beautiful ball put in a lovely spot, and just a couple of steps behind Hardwick is all that Verling needed. Good concentration to get his feet down as well in play.
Very nice.
So, we'll see if Danny Burton can add the extra. And he can't off that. Whether or not he can run it in, he's looking to pass. Stephen Brown, he turns the corner and he's pushed out of bounds. So the score will remain at Leicester 26, Nottingham 7.
Yeah, Falcons really starting to roll now.
As you mentioned, we mentioned earlier on about a variety of people coming from a variety of locations for Leicester. We've got Joe Brammer from Texas. We've got Taylor Brown from Chicago. Troy Lee, quarterback from Derby. We then have Kieran Watts, the receiver we've mentioned before, from New Orleans. Guys from London and Birmingham and Bristol, as well as Hastings. Got Hazir Ari, number 61 from Turkey. Josh Jennings, nicknamed Billy Bob, from Kentucky.
Well, that's interesting for double coverage. The tripping foul only became part of the rulebook in 2017, so it's fairly new.
And thanks for getting in touch. Johnny Hopewell from Samoa. So, as we have a flyby by a microlight, nice to see the Leicester version of the Red Arrows in attendance at today's game. As Burton gets the kick off and Hardwick fields again. Hardwick looking for a gap, but that discipline is excellent. And number 16. Number 16. Unfortunately, I don't have a name for here this afternoon. Makes the tackle. Along with number 45, who I know we've mentioned before, Ben Swavey. So Nottingham will take over on the 20-yard line. Rob gets it just out to the equivalent of touchback territory. Imperative, in fact, crucial. In fact, if they don't, game over if the Caesars don't put a score on the board this time.
Never call the game before it's over.
I won't, but I've watched enough football and seen...
It's going to put them in a real hole if they don't get a score on this drive, yeah.
Coming up to 5 minutes left in the third period. 26-7 in favour of the home team. Looking to go 7-1 and looking to put the Caesars' first loss of the year to take them to 7-1. Oh, that's another floated ball, and that's picked.
That's going in.
And that's Taylor Brown. Pick 6. Taking the score to 32-7 Nottingham. And that could well be good night Vienna, and it could end up being a procession from here on in.
Yeah, you know, that was going to get picked off either way. It was either going to be picked off by Brown or by Gums, and Brown took it in for his second interception of the game and took it into the house.
Anybody who watches cricket at all and knows the commentator known as Bumble, David Lloyd, famous for saying, start the car, that one's done. Start the car. Let's get a flyer and get back to Nottingham. But unfortunately, no. Not unfortunately, we have another quarter and 5 minutes to enjoy here up in the commentary booth. Obviously, we are Caesars TV. We do represent the Nottingham outfit. So, yes, there's a little bit of disappointment as the extra point is up, and it is good. To take the score to 33-7 in favour of the Green Machine, but there is a flag. Late flag. See what the call is right here. And it looks like once again it's going to be a flag, but it's going to be assessed on the kickoff. It looks like they were given the choice. I saw Ash Matthews wave the officials down the field.
Technical foul. Personal foul, 72 Green, penalty, forced on the kickoff.
Fortunately, you don't have a name for number 72. but he's cost his team some yardage there, which, when it happened last time, Nottingham were successful.
We've seen Nottingham in this situation before. We know they've got another quarterback standing on the sideline. Do they consider it? I know it's a bit of a taboo subject around Nottingham at the moment.
There's one school of thought to suggest there's nothing to lose. It does bring a different dimension to the game. It's Ash we're talking about, who is a threat with his legs as well as his arm, whereas Dan's more of a pocket passer. So at this stage, 33-7 down with a quarter and 5 minutes to go. Maybe Coach Warner will leave it to the end of the third period and see what Dan can muster up here. But the last few passes we mentioned about the Davidas pass was sort of up like a punt.
It was a brave pass, yeah.
And that last one that was picked off just really floated. And
yeah, I mean, I think Taylor Brown really trying to make a case for game MVP.
Hardwick fields at his 15-yard line. Stutters out, makes one man miss. He's still on his feet. And then Pete Sandham, number 26, brings him down. He's got across the 30-yard line to about the 35, and Hardwick's still down.
Yeah, Hardwick is down.
And Hardwick isn't a man that stays down very often.
Whilst we've got a slight break in play, a player that really does intrigue me on special teams, and he always puts in the effort. And whenever I've looked over, he's put a man to the floor, is number 47 for the Caesars. And that's a running back, Jason Potter. Does seem to put a man to the floor.
So, 4:58 left in the third. Dusk is beginning to fall over the Leicester Road Stadium. One of the reasons we had this game at this time was because we were interested as a production company in covering this. We thought we may well get a bit of a night game under lights, and then realised it was in the middle of July.
Well, that's down to our executive producer, I would think.
Ianusi with the carry. Gets to the line of scrimmage, and then
that was a monster hit by Brown.
I think that was Wayne Gums, actually. I think that was number 1 that came in with that pop.
See if we can get a replay.
So Ianusi.
And that is number 3.
You're quite right. Number 1
Brown.
Watching. You're quite right. But it was.
Again, stating that claim for MVP for the game.
He has been all over the place.
Just what you like to see in your safety, though.
Another safety who plays similar to Taylor Brown that we know quite well. I know we mentioned him most weeks, but it's worthwhile. Will Hobbs, who's currently out with the Calendar Broncos in Switzerland.
And he's made the Swiss Bowl, I believe.
He has made the Swiss Bowl. Another floated pass, and that's picked again.
Another. Well, it's a very, very good interception.
It is that time. Dom Olney this time picking it off again.
And that is, you got to be considering it as an offensive coordinator. That's pick number 4.
I think it is number 4 now, yeah.
Possibly even number 5. I think it's number 4, but.
And Olney does make a very athletic grab.
He does.
He's got, I think that was that Davidas alongside him?
Tom Green.
Tom Green, number 11. But nevertheless, another error from Dan. But you're at this stage, you're sort of going for broke on most plays, looking for that big play again. But yes, this is on the verge of becoming a little embarrassing. Having said that, Samwell came here and we were beaten 42-0, so it's not like we're the only team to have suffered at the hands, as the option play is popped out to number 25, Joel Gregory, and Joel Gregory makes a man miss.
To squirm.
And he's still on his feet, and he's pushed out of bounds at midfield by Jamie Sholter.
Managed to squirm out of Ashley Matthews' tackle.
Watch this step. Yeah, he does, yeah. Matthews gone too high, to be fair. And then Sholter doesn't actually bring him down, but just shepherds him out of bounds at the 50.
Does enough.
So yeah, we mentioned about Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs, like you say, he's made the Swift Bowl with the Calendar Broncos. That's the 10th year in a row by all accounts the Broncos have made the bowl. As number 24, Joel Gregory with the carry.
Taken down by Caesars 24, Baby Bash.
And the Calendar Broncos will be taking on Basel in the final. Will's done ever so well. Had a bit of an unfortunate injury in one of the pre-season games where he fractured a collarbone, and he's got that repaired and got back in training and rehabbed, and for the last 3 or 4 games he's been a real integral part of that defence, playing a very similar style of safety to that we're seeing from Taylor Brown this afternoon. So 2nd and 9. Lee in quarterback again, 2 backs with him, 2 receivers up to the right, 1 down to the left. Lee looks back, he's looking for his man.
It's an overthrow.
Clark Johnson, rather, ACJ, and it is overthrown.
It is, but he had a good few yards on his DB. And if he hadn't made it, it would have been another touchdown.
And always for me, that has been one area of concern for the Caesars, the size, the height and size of those DBs. You think about the guys that are the big hitters. Rob Hardwick's obviously is a big hitter.
Yeah, he is, and so Stephen Brown in the back there.
Yeah.
The thing the Caesars rely on and do very well, to be fair, I know they've given up a few receptions and a few TD scores as well, although not as many as they probably should have done, is the pressure that they put on the quarterback in the box. And you can see that from Wilkins there, nearly getting him again.
Watts makes a reception. He's brought down by Adam Wilson. First time we've mentioned his name tonight. But Watts tried to spin round to the sideline, but Wilson had a good hold of him, and there's a flag down there. And sorry, George. Schulter's clapping there, which would hope that it's going to be against Leicester, but we'll wait and see.
Just looked like the end of. But you know, like you say, you've got some probably slower DBs in the division and the conference. See what the officials call here.
Richard Swain was remonstrating with the official there.
Yeah, looking on his face, he doesn't look best pleased.
Been pinged for something as the Falcons march back before the official call is actually made. So, still time to get in touch with us here. Oh, and as if by magic, that was almost like we planned it.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 66, Green. Okay, it's still first down after the enforcement.
Good evening to Ross over there. Another quarter and 5 minutes to enjoy. Thanks for the impartial commentary. Top work. Well, we don't pretend to be impartial. We are Caesars TV. You know, we try and give a fair comment to both sides of the ball, and I think we are not taking anything away from the Leicester team this afternoon, who have played particularly well, and we do give credit where credit is due and have done. But obviously we are all Caesars at heart in this production company, so yes, we're a little disappointed when the Caesars are on the end of a score line such as this.
Just going back to the DB situation, you know, is it something where you perhaps look at a bit more zone play, having the smaller, slower DBs come in comparison to the receivers they've come up against today?
Interesting thought. On 1st and 10 after the penalty, Lee with the ball, and he's got pressure again, and this time Wilkins hits him and bounces off him. It wasn't Wilkins, in fact, it was Baby Bash that bounced off him that time.
Interesting, as if by magic, as you've just said, linebackers dropping into zone.
So watch again. Bash again comes unblocked from the left-hand side, and then manages to make something of it as we come to the end of the 3rd period. And our score here is Leicester 33, Nottingham 7. The lights do come on, so we will have some
I can smell
football.
that barbecue.
I tell you, I've been smelling that for the last 10-15 minutes.
Oh.
So yes, we do get some floodlit football, George.
I mean, we don't need it.
No, not particularly. Yeah, going back to that tweet. Thinking to myself about if you listen to Forest commentary and you listen to on Forest commentary on Radio Nottingham, or if you listen to Leicester commentary on BBC Radio Leicester or whatever, then obviously those guys are a little bit more in favour of the team of the city they come from, and we're no different here.
I suppose we are officially on Saturday Night Lights now.
Saturday Night Lights.
Saturday Night Lights
edition, Caesars TV. First time we've broadcast under lights. Alex, our cameraman's looking particularly chuffed with himself.
I'm not sure it is. Was the GB women's game? That was under lights, was it not?
Yeah, possibly.
Against Team Spain. Ran out winners. Oh, well.
Yeah, that was onside. Anyway. So, 2nd and 5, Leicester, just over midfield in Nottingham territory. Caesars looking to get a little bit of respect back, and
real nice penetration there. Harvey breaking through, as well as Kieran Matthews and Fraser Beattie who got the tackle.
Ashton Patterson on the carry. He's taken down in the backfield where he loses 3 yards on the carry, so that will bring up 3rd and 8.
I've gone from smelling barbecue to smelling perfume.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a shame we can't give you sort of a 4D.
I preferred the barbecue smell, I must admit.
Yeah, it's a bit strong, that perfume.
So, 3rd and 8 Leicester. 2 men in the backfield, 2 receivers to the left, 1 down to the right. I have a feeling this one is going through the air. And the difference really between Lee and Johnson is that Lee does get a little bit more on his passes when he's got the opportunity.
And it is going to be a first.
And it's JV again, Jack Verlin, with a good pick-up for a first down. Nice move after the catch. And I say, if you look at that particular pass in comparison with Dan's passes, that was on a rope.
It was, yeah. And the communication there between the two of them, absolutely on point.
Accurate, on time, and gives his man a chance to actually get some yak yards as well. So, Leicester threatening again in the early evening sunshine here at Leicester Road Football Stadium. Hinckley. First down Leicester. 2 receivers to the right this time. Looks like from the formation this ball's getting handed off to Joel Gregory. Joel Gregory gets up the field, and actually Tom Harvey lands on him after he's been taken down, and very close to being a flag there as Gregory goes down. He does go down touched, so maybe Tom was just making sure.
There was no whistle blown at the point he went down, and as players are taught, or should be taught, to play to the whistle.
NEAA F Ravens rather. Caesars football. Has 31 got knee pads? I'm sure he has. 2nd and 5. Leicester at the Nottingham 20. Lee's looking and signalling to Gregory, something over that he spotted to the right hand side, and Fisher, there we go, Fisher's now stepping up. He looks like he's coming to make the tackle. He's pushed to the outside and he jukes inside Fisher. He's still on his feet, still juking. And number 41 and number 57, James Beckett and Stuart Henry, finally bring it to the ground. There's a flag in the middle of the field, and the quarterback, Troy Lee, is clapping, which would suggest this is going against the away team. Troy Lee comes dancing to the sideline.
I'm not quite sure why it would be against the Caesars.
Didn't see anything obvious there, but the way Lee was clapping, thinking it may well be a block in the back, may have spotted there. And they are marching that ball towards... Oh, hang on a second. 2 flags down, actually. And we're marching, it looks like we're marching actually back against Leicester, are we? Number 66, Richard Swain, again is questioning the officials, but the way that the officials are positioning, it does look like it's going against Leicester. Referee talking to Stuart Henry, number 57.
Illegal block in the back, 51 offence, that penalty's declined. We have kicking, number 77 on the offence, that penalty's been accepted, 2nd down.
So Johnny Hopewell, the Samoan who we mentioned earlier on, guilty of the clipping penalty, which is a big 15-yard penalty.
Penalty is 10 yards from the spot of the foul, which makes it back a lot further than 10. 2nd down and very long.
I'm sure the in-stadium announcer got that one quite right, but here we go anyway. It's 2nd and 23 for Leicester, in a bit of a hole, but only on this drive, not on the scoreboard, as they lead 33-7 against the visiting Caesars. Troy Lee, quarterback, with Adam Edwards, former Caesars player, in the backfield, and Lee rolls.
Oh, and he's got a man
open. Oh, and he overthrows him.
Yeah, I mean, really, number 28 from the season, Sam Fisher there, probably should have jumped on that ball.
Definitely had a chance. Definitely had a chance. So yeah, as the sun begins to set, the lights continue to blaze. We do have the very first Caesars TV edition of Saturday Night Lights. That was something our exec producer Steve Matthews and Tom Howe are very excited about the prospect of.
Here's to many, many more.
Indeed, here's 3rd and 23. It appears Lee audible in to Tom Jarrett, but took too much time in that, and it looks like that'll be a delay of game. We'll march the Falcons back another 5.
Ball foul, delay of game against the offence. Still 3rd down.
So we asked, part of the research again, we asked General Manager Guy Kersey who standout players, impact players should be to look out for, and very much in keeping with what we've been mentioning this afternoon, the triplets. Troy Lee, Taylor Brown, Kieran Watts were the 3 names mentioned, but also Jack Verlin and Nat Eves. And obviously they've all had a major part to play this afternoon in this current 33-7 advantage that the Leicester Falcons hold. 3rd and 28 now, Leicester. You'd hope that Nottingham can get the ball back without any more points being added to the board. Time for Lee though, and he hits his man across the middle, and then Stephen Brown hits Tom Jarrett, number 17. That will be 4th down. It does appear though, and I can quite understand why, the offense is staying out there with the ball on the 25-yard line. It's 4th and 9. Looks like this is going to be a timeout. It is. That's Leicester's 2nd timeout of the half. Great play there from Stephen Brown to stop Jarrett gaining any more yards after that catch. So 4th down arrives. 4th and 9, and ordinarily teams would go for a field goal or maybe try and pin the opposition down, but in fact now Kersey is out on the field calling plays, and it is probably going to be the case that at 33-7 ahead, most of the teams maybe would kick the ball away, but I think Guy Kersey is going to be trying to look to run up the score on this Nottingham outfit. There's a little bit of history between Guy and the Caesars as a team, and there are certain staff on the sideline today who go back a long way with Guy, and unfortunately,
well, I mean, you're in that area where it's possibly too far to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
For some British kickers, and you know, too short really to try and punt the ball. But he has got a man open, number 23.
Oh, just overthrows Danny Burton, the punter. So that goes incomplete, and Nottingham will take over. 1st down on the 24-yard line.
It's the situation we discussed. I mean, he's got a good 2 yards, 3 yards there on number 28 for the Caesars. That's Sam Fisher.
And whenever Leicester have gone deep today, they have generally had a step on the Caesar DBs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see if Nottingham can salvage any pride with 11 minutes left in the 4th period. Down by a score of 33-7. Showed flashes of what they're capable of, but as is usually the case, not a great deal of consistency from either Johnson or the Caesars offense. If you're interested in joining the Leicester Falcons, they train Thursdays and Sundays at Aylestonians Rugby Football Club. Obviously look up Leicester Falcons online to find more details, and they're looking to start an under-17 team next year. It's notes down here. So if you're in the area and you're interested in joining the Green Machine, and equally if you're interested in playing football and you're in the Nottingham area, contact Coach Lees for the under-19 version of the game?
Yeah, I think I'd quite like to form an under-17. We get plenty of inquiries around the Nottingham area, and it'd be a great thing to have.
Definitely something that I know the club are looking into and trying to expand whenever they can, but you obviously know as well as I do, it's all down to volunteer staff, volunteer coaches, as Robinson takes the ball up the middle for a good pick-up on second down rather. Maybe picks up 3 or 4, bringing up 3rd and 4. So yeah, it's always down to the volunteers who come out to coach, and you and I both, obviously having coached the juniors and me on my own for a fair few years, and you in a similar situation the past couple of years. Now you've had a little bit of help, but this time round it's...
I'm sure you had a number of helpers as well. I seem to think Coach Young and Coach Urquhart. And
yeah. Over the years. But it is difficult to get those volunteers. Johnson drops back to pass. Oh dear, massively overthrown.
And picked off once again. Number 3.
And that's Taylor Brown, and I think that may well have cemented Taylor Brown's claim on MVP. So another pick.
That was pick number 3, but stadium announcer says 2. But
beautiful, great hands again.
Fantastic grab.
Great hands again. Good concentration to get his foot down in bounds, and another turnover from Johnson.
As the offensive OC for the Caesars, you've got to be slightly concerned that the Falcons' defense has got as many receptions as your Caesars' offense.
It's a fair point. Isn't it fair and worrying stats? You're quite right.
Worse still, you've also got the same amount of receiving touchdowns on the defense as you have with the offense.
Indeed. So first down Leicester. Just under 10 minutes left in this 4th period. Stick with us after the game, because we'll be back down on the sideline to get a little bit of feedback and some interviews with coaches, possibly players, and wrap this one up. And then it'll be on to a fortnight's time when the Falcons will visit Harvey Haddon for the final game of the Caesars season. Oh, in fact, it's not the final game. It'll be the final home game of the Caesars season for 2017. As Adam Edwards, former Caesar, gets his first carry of the game and picks up 6 yards. So the Caesars will host the Leicester Falcons in late July.
23rd of July, I believe.
Sunday the 23rd of July. And then the week after, they'll close out their season away to the Sandwell Steelers.
Yeah, 2 real crucial games coming up.
Well, particularly after this one finishes, and it looks like Leicester and Nottingham will both be 7-1. So the next one in Nottingham becomes even more pivotal, because one team will then get a 1-game lead. And for Nottingham to drop 3 games at the end of the season, as Patterson gets the ball once again, and Ashton is still on his feet.
Oh, there are flags flying.
Picks a first down and then some into Caesars territory. So yeah, for Nottingham to finish with a 3-game losing streak after winning their first 7, if they were good enough to get into the playoffs with a 7-3 record, it doesn't bode very well then having to play a playoff game coming off 3 straight losses.
No, absolutely not. But having said that, 7-3 in a worst case scenario should be enough.
83-3. First down by distance.
Tight end for the Falcons called for the block in the back. So that will negate some of the big play there from Patterson, but it will still remain a first down.
Number 4 for the Falcons, their backup QB, that's Mepstead, just warming up his arm.
Oh, and I can confirm Roger Federer is into the last 16 at Wimbledon after defeating Zverev 7-6, 6-4, 6-4. And I know you'll be tuning into the game here from Leicester rather than watching the best Grand Slam in world tennis. As another false start penalty goes against Leicester, so they have had their fair share of indiscipline, the Leicester team.
Who do you reckon's going to Who do you reckon's going to win Wimbledon then?
I'll tell you what, Rafa's looking good. Rafa's looking good. If Rafa gets to the final, he will become world #1. Even without winning Wimbledon, because he's won more games this season than any other player on the tour. So he's looking good. You can never count Djokovic out. Andy obviously is very confident, not had a bad season. Maybe didn't do as well at Queens as he would have wanted, but yeah. Marian Cilic, big server, big return game, always a threat as well.
Mr. Federer.
Federer's always got a chance, and after winning, oh dear, that's nowhere near, and that's probably the first errant pass we've seen from Lee this afternoon. So yes, so after Federer won that Australian Open title early in the year, anything's possible with Roger, particularly on grass. Anyway, back to this one. 2nd and 15 Leicester, as Leah Sape throws a bit of an errant pass to absolutely nobody. And it's interesting, we've just seen Andrew Mepstead, backup quarterback, warming up on the sideline. Whether or not Guy Kersey is thinking about bringing him on to the field for the last 8 minutes. Number 4 there, who just flashed up on your screen. But for now, Lee remains in the game, Troy Lee. 2 runners in the backfield. And that is handed off, and it's Eves again, and Eves steps out of one tackle, but Beckett brings him down. There's a flag on the play.
There's also a helmet on the floor.
And the flag is in the vicinity of holding. Can't see a great deal on the replay again, but thrown by the official. You know, unfortunately, as a Leicester player still down and not. Oh, now he begins to move. Matt Neville, number 62. From Stevenage, Matt Neville. He comes limping off the field.
Fairway from Stevenage, isn't it, up here?
Maybe he's originally from Stevenage. Obviously now residing in Leicester. I don't have his exact
postcode.
No, his exact personal details currently, but I assume the information we've got is from where players originate. So it is a holding penalty, as we suspected, which will march Leicester back even further. So they've been in this situation a fair amount today. 2nd and long.
They have.
3rd and long.
This seems to be the difference between the two teams at the moment in this situation. Falcons seem to be the team that are making the plays to get out of this situation.
So here we go. 2nd and 25. 2nd and 25 for the Leicester Falcons. Looks to the left, looks for Verlin. He's got Verlin, and
another flag.
Another flag. And that was close to where the attempted tackle was. Did one of the defenders out there stick out another leg when Verlin stepped in? See what this call is, and Leicester are marching back again.
Yeah, I don't think there was a problem there.
Is the flag being picked up or no? Struggling to see what that was.
Something in the backfield that we didn't quite see on camera.
It may be illegal procedure, maybe not enough men in the backfield, or too many men in the backfield where the receiver was lined up. That flag came out pretty quickly after the play had started.
Holding, 17 offence, penalties declined, 3rd down.
So Nottingham decide to decline a 10-yard penalty, which would have put Leicester in 2nd and 35, and instead let them have the yardage and brings up 3rd and 20.
Yeah, I mean it's still a long way to go. Although we know that the Falcons are capable of doing this, but they have put their backup QB in. That's Mepstead.
Yeah, Mepstead is in, and he audibles. Will he be able to get the playoff in time? He can. He drops back for his first pass of the afternoon. He goes deep, and he's got
a nice ball, but
and it's picked off. Picked off by number 47.
That's Jason Potter for the season.
And that's another great athletic play. And a bit of an inauspicious start for Mepstead. Oh, and he comes to the line, comes to the sideline. His teammates try and console him, and he doesn't want any of it. Very dejected. So Nottingham get another chance to salvage a bit of pride.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be
So there's a little graphic just come on the bottom of your screen there. Obviously watching a lot of NFL myself, and you know, from a commentary point of view, you do get the old terminology. He's at the 30, he's at the 40, he's at the 50, he's still on his feet, and I just quite like that kind of. I like the phrasing.
Is that the count? Is that what that's for?
I think that's the amount. That must be the amount of times I've said that this afternoon. Okay, so let's see if we can get to 10. Robbie Jones in motion, and Ash isn't at quarterback, so there's a change on both sides, and Ash is in trouble. Stays on his feet, and that's what Ash can do. So in a broken field and a broken play now, Ash actually ends up.
Going to take the loss, but far better than it was.
Not as big a loss as we thought, and that would have been an ideal time for still on his feet.
Well, that's 2 more times you've added it.
I think it only counts if it's in play. I don't think it counts if we're talking about it.
I don't know, because you've said it, I think twice, 3 times since that pop-up. That graphic came up.
So, 2nd and 14, Nottingham. 7 minutes left in the 4th. Again, just really playing for pride now, this Nottingham outfit, and almost to try and give the Leicester Falcons team something to think about going into that game in a fortnight's time. If Notts were to finish at 7 and 3, it would mean they would have lost to Sandwell. If both teams finish 7 and 3, who goes through? Oh! Number 10, the intended receiver.
It comes down to, I suppose, points against, points for in that head-to-head first, and then goes into sort of the conference record and all sorts. So I think there's about 7-8 different scenarios that they can use to determine who goes through.
Kyle Pearson, the intended receiver on that play, number 10 for Nottingham. 3rd and 15 upcoming. So yes, obviously we're assuming we got the official now waving the clock off.
Red has called timeout.
The referee's timeout with 6:48 remaining in the 4th.
Caesar's timeout.
Oh, apology. Red timeout. I thought he said ref's timeout. My mistake. So, 3rd and 15, coming back out of the timeout.
Long discussion in the huddle, so got something special planned.
So that's 7 and 3 record. Obviously, as things stand right now, as things stand at the moment, Nottingham are, well, we'll drop to 7 and 1. Here we go. Leicester 6 and 1. Sandwell 4 and 3 at the moment. So obviously we're assuming that Sandwell are going to win out as Ash takes off. He's got a little bit of room. Tucks the ball into their arm, but he's not going to get far, and he's dragged out of bounds after a pickup of 7.
Yeah, I mean, Ash is certainly more mobile than Dan Johnson is, but he really needs to make those yards forwards rather than sideways.
So standings again then, as we say, after today's game, Nottingham will be 7 and 1, Leicester will be 7 and 1, Sandwell will be 4 and 3, having got the Coventry Jets tomorrow. So with all due respect to the Coventry Jets, after the close of play this weekend, Sandwell could well be 5 and 3. Upcoming games, as we've mentioned, Nottingham, Leicester on the 23rd, and not Sandwell, as that graphic suggests, but Nottingham Sandwell on the 30th.
Slight technical hitch there.
As Danny Johns is back to punt, and the kick is up, and it wobbles out of bounds just inside the 35 at about the 32-yard line. The referee makes his final stop. So Leicester have Nottingham on the 23rd, and then the Birmingham Bulls on the 30th. And those upcoming fixtures. So it's very possible that Sandwell will end up at 7 and 3, Nottingham will end up at 7 and 3, which means obviously if Nottingham were to drop next game against Leicester and fall to 7 and 2, that Sandwell game on the 30th of July would be absolutely vital. So So yeah, a real tight division. It's been a battle all year. So first down, Mepstead back in at quarterback. Drops back looking to pass again, gets out to Verlin. Verlin is met and then eludes 2 tackles and steps out of bounds after a pickup of 4. That's a nice pass to get to Mepstead, just popping it out to the flat there, getting him a little bit of confidence after that original pick. So good play calling there from the Leicester coaching staff. Second and 8, in fact. Mepstead going downfield again. He's got his kicker, Danny Burton, who picks up 5.
A nice little tackle by Rob Hardwick just to bring him down. Just managing to dive across and grab that waistline.
2 minutes in the game, 2 minutes.
That is your 2-minute warning.
There we go.
And it,
just so you're aware, our timing is very much done by our talented Mr. Smith, who's trying to stop the clock at the right time. He's not got any link to the officials, so a little bit off, but I don't think 22 seconds is bad over a quarter. As Wilkins, amongst others, stack up Patterson in the middle.
and there is a flag on the play. A little bit of dead ball foul.
Ashton Patterson takes the ball, gain of about 1. And then the flag after the play, that one's going to come back.
So yeah, just looking at upcoming fixtures for all teams. Coventry Sandwell tomorrow, then
The official's just about to make his call.
Okay.
That's great officiating there.
Still just waiting. Here we go.
He's got a big board behind him.
Dead ball foul on sportsmanlike conduct 77 on the offence, 4th down.
Johnny Hopewell with the infringement, and that brings up 4th down. So yeah, looking at the remaining fixtures for all the teams. Sandwell have Coventry tomorrow, then Birmingham, and then finish out with Nottingham at home. So again, you would, no disrespect meant to Coventry or Birmingham, but you'd expect Sandwell to win the Coventry and Birmingham games.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with Samuel at the moment is whether Callum Davidson's going to return to them. Obviously a key factor for their offence, and it sounds like it's a season-ending injury. I think he's hoping to return next year, but until I suppose they've got to see it week by week and see how he's feeling.
That was the information we had. Now, interesting here, Caesars don't have anybody back deep to return this one. So they're going to rush the kicker, and it's not a great snap, but they lose outside contain, and he does kick it away then. And it turns out into a great kick, and it takes a fantastic bounce.
There is also a flag on the play.
There is a flag on the play. So the end product at the moment is fantastic for Leicester, but I do think that Jordan Mannion is going to get penalised. And let's have a look, see if we can spot number 22. It's just taken there. It almost looks like he's tackled a man without the ball. So yes, as I was saying, Leicester have Nottingham next week, and then finish up with the Birmingham Bulls.
So we are inside the 2-minute warning. Game MVP.
It's got to be Taylor Brown, hasn't it? Really, done a little bit of everything really today, I think.
A man of many talents.
So yes, realistically, the easiest run-in. Well, I say the easiest run-in. Leicester play Nottingham once. Sandwell play Nottingham once. There we go. So now we've got the correct Caesars games. There you go. So the Caesars have Leicester next week. Oh, sorry, in 2 weeks' time, and then Sandwell the week after. So Leicester finish out the season against the Birmingham Bulls, and the Sandwell Steelers have, just waiting for the officials. So another timeout called by Nottingham. The Sandwell Steelers, as we've said, have got Coventry and Birmingham, and then Nottingham. So in theory, Sandwell have the easiest run-in, if we're referring to records. 1-loss record. Somewhere have the easiest record playing Coventry and Birmingham, which should get them up to. And we're on camera, George. Good evening. Nice, so you can see where we are in our commentary position up here. It's a beautiful evening with the sun behind you. Thank you for joining us. We do love doing what we're doing. It's the first time, actually, we don't often commentate sitting down, to be fair, do we, George?
No. We've been graciously given some seats today. So, yeah, I mean, you could potentially end up in a situation where you end up with two teams at 7-3 and one at 8-2, and it's all to play for.
I don't think it would be unfair to say, but you would kind of expect Leicester to get the better of Nottingham again in 2 weeks' time. You'd definitely expect Leicester
from the performance today.
Yeah, definitely expect Leicester to win out in their final game. So that would put Leicester put Leicester at 9-1 basically. They would win the division. It's then looking at going into the final game. Nottingham being 7-2, Sandwell being 6-3, and really that final Sandwell-Nottingham game will
be the deciding game.
Yeah, fantastic. And fair play to the schedulers. Like you said at the beginning, I don't think it was planned that way, but
no.
Nevertheless. So, if anybody's got anything else. Anybody's got anything else they want to add to the show in these last couple of minutes as Ash goes up top. He's looking for... that's got to be pass interference. All day long. All day long. And unfortunately, it was our BP, Taylor Brown, who just clattered in to the receiver, Alex Armstrong. Here we go. Watch this. So, good ball put up, and he's got a chance. And, yes, Taylor Brown has just clattered.
I think you could probably call either DB on that one, to be fair.
Number 3 on the defence. First down.
So here we go, with under a minute to go in this one. Want to get in touch with us? Tell us if you've enjoyed the game. I say stay with us after the game. We'll be popping from our commentary position down to our sideline booth to bring you our post-game show. Still time to get in touch with us with the hashtag on screen. As Ash surveys the field on first down, hands off to Robinson, and Robinson has got a gap.
Run by Robinson.
And Taylor Brown once again flattens him. Taylor Brown brings a load, and he stays on his feet. But actually, I think he felt that on that right shoulder.
I think he felt that all over.
I think he did, but he seems to just be favouring that right arm a little bit. Look, asking to come off. I think he's got a bit of a dead arm there, but obviously not wanting to give away too much. So Dom Olney, very capable replacement, comes on to give Taylor Brown a breather. Another Derby player. Ash looking again, he's got time. He goes up top looking for Robbie Jones, and that's overthrown, but Robbie...
that is a great overhead reception. Well, interception, number 8.
Matt Thomas on the interception, and that was. And Robbie seemed to have a step, slow down, have a step, and obviously that put the separation. Here we go, you see this. Ash got loads of time. And even though he's got loads of time, at this point you can't see really, but Robbie...
It was the right read.
It was
the right read.
He kind of stared him down a little bit though, and just before
hyperspace.
Just before we see Robbie has actually taken a step and slowed down, which has meant, but that is a great grab, great concentration by Thomas.
Yeah.
And absolutely, fair play, credit where credit's due. Another turnover for the Nottingham offense.
Robbie,
but we are
just caught stargazing, well, trying to locate the ball.
We are in garbage time now, obviously, and I think our clock is relatively accurate, so there can only be 1 or 2 plays left.
I suspect they're going to go deep with it.
No, they are. Look, Mepstead looks underneath, and that fire's incomplete.
Are they going to call it?
Ross McKay, intended receiver there. Looks like we still have a little bit of time left. Referee glancing over to his colleague on the sideline, maybe gave him a look as if to say last play. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
little bit of Jimmy Eat World playing in the background for you. Not that you're into that sort of music.
Oh, no, I can go with Jimmy. Mepstead surveys the field. As you say, they'll probably still be looking to add more pain. It's a bad snap. And in fact, that play's blown dead before it even started. A bit of a scrappy end to this, which actually has been a bit of a scrappy game as far as flags are concerned. Moments of brilliance particularly by the Leicester outfit. Unfortunately, the official hasn't turned his mic on, but I can tell you that it's a false start against the offence. And now he's turning it on. And
I mean, the real great thing about, well, the one good thing the Caesars can take away from this game is Andrew Wilkins. It's got to be. He is on fire. He's been on fire all season, and he is. This scoreline could have been far worse.
See him prowling there as he drops back into coverage, Wilkins, and no pressure coming. Mepstead, through the hands of McKay that time. And the official. So, through the hands of McKay.
10 seconds left on the clock. The officials have just called.
So it must be said, Leicester at the moment, of all the teams we've seen so far, either come to Nottingham or we've seen on film, I do think Leicester probably do look the most worthy division champions.
I think Samuel's sort of, I don't want to say collapse, but Callum Davidson, you know. At the moment, looking at the two teams out there today, I think Falcons certainly deserve to probably go and win.
And I think, like you say, had Callum still been in the mix with Samuel, it might be a slightly different story.
I think so.
Because in the game that they played in Nottingham, there was a significant drop-off when he left the game. But yeah, so there's our final score here in Leicester, in Hinckley. We have the final score of the Leicester Falcons 33, the Nottingham Caesars 7. We'll be back with you in a couple of minutes for our post-game show, so join us then.
It's a sock or something. I don't know about you, but I don't think it's a good idea for us to be going. Why? Because I think it gives them a platform. I'll ask Norwood for
So, welcome to our post-game show this afternoon, where we've ended up with our score of 33-7 in favour of the Leicester Falcons. What do you make of that one then, George?
I think, I hate to say it, it's probably what we expected. We know that Falcons can execute well, and they've proven that. And we know that offence on the Caesars side of the field has been a struggle. And it showed today. The defence for the Caesars played really well, and I don't think the scoreline does them justice. Obviously, in there's a pick six that was from our MVP, Mr. Brown. But the Caesars defence put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I know they were disappointed with that first touchdown, but they did a decent job. It's just the offence couldn't carry them forward.
There was a spark of hope towards the end of the first half when Johnson hit Davidas for that big TD, and you thought, well, maybe we could just creep back into it, but
yeah, but I don't want to take credit away because it was a touchdown play. Davidas made a great reception, got the score, but it was an awful ball, wasn't it?
It was
a bit of a punt, and I think that play it really summed up the whole game. It was there to have, but it just couldn't finish it off. And credit to Falcons. The Falcons' defense was phenomenal. 5-6 interceptions. Not a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Not a lot of pressure, which gives even more credit to the DBs for getting those picks. And their offense moved the ball really, really well. I know there were some issues with discipline on both sides of the ball, but they did what they needed to do.
Well, we've got the Falcons head coach alongside us now. Come on in, coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great victory. Very well. You mentioned before the game, first of all, congratulations on a fantastically well-played game. You mentioned before the game about flags plaguing you.
See?
I didn't necessarily see you, but obviously we mentioned it in commentary about the fact that
it was disappointing. The disappointing part of today was all the flags. Is it all our team? Is it the refs? We don't know, do we? End of the day. But I'm disappointed. That's the only bit I'm disappointed with is all the flags.
And to be fair, with a 33-7 scoreline, without those flags, you kind of think to yourself,
would have been a lot
what
more.
level could you achieve?
Exactly.
Yeah,
again, we started slow. I think we scored one touchdown, but then we failed on two drives.
Yeah, one score in the first quarter.
Yeah,
and,
which was again we started slow. We can start, like I said at the start, on fire. We'd definitely get the 50 burgers, as I so to say.
What pleased you about today then? Because it's very easy to be negative.
It is, yeah. Again, all the picks. You dare. You can't hear.
Oh. Well, that's in store.
Oh no.
That's in store in a minute.
Early bath, I think.
You got to be waiting. Give us a minute, boys. What pleased you apart from
what pleased me was
that's not going to please you.
That's not going to please you. Get it all over your equipment. Now, what pleased me really was the defence again. Defence I thought was strong. I think it gives us a platform for the offence to drive forward, even though we're not doing very well in the first quarter. So the defence played really well.
It's always good to have a strong defence.
I think it was 9 deceptions, was it? 8?
I think you had more completions from our quarterback than
yeah. I think they did. I was trying to work it out, couldn't work it out. No,
so things have just got weird. It is a family show.
I know it's a family show. I'm really pleased, really with all the team this year, especially 7-1. Like I said, the only blip we had was against a great Sandwell side. But as of today, I'm pleased with. I know
you can't.
I can't talk. But I'm waiting to get.
I tell you what, Coach. I tell you what. Let me take that then.
Well. I'm not quite sure if you saw that at home, but
I don't know whether he's going to come back to us or not.
Well, I'm not sure, but I feel like he's just had an early bath.
We'll give that over anyway. So yeah, I mean, obviously you can see today what that means to the guys here at Leicester.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be very happy with that win today. They really are, and thoroughly deserved as well. I think Coach Kassar might need to go get changed. He's have a laugh with his quarterback Troy.
Come back if you want. You can grab your mic down there, buddy. Right, now we can concentrate. Now that's
well, anybody thinks we just won the Super Bowl. Just got to the playoffs.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it shows how much it means to the club.
It does, yeah, and it's a great achievement from, let's say, coming up from Division 2.
Yeah.
You know, we've lost one game in 2 years, which is really, really good on the team.
Sure.
As you can see, we're still building.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
But I'm aiming in 3 now.
Why not?
You know, as you know, as a coach, I just want to be in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I do it at Derby in the Premier League. I just want to be in this Premier League now.
Sure. Absolutely. And obviously, you've had this before when you played Sandwell a couple of times, but a big win against Nottingham now.
Yeah, it was.
How do you guard against complacency for a fortnight's time?
Simple. We go training Thursday. We train Sundays. It's back to normal. I kept shouting 0-0, 0-0.
Yeah.
That's the mentality we've got to get to.
It is.
You know, we can't take foot off pedal.
Absolutely.
You know, I wanted to go in a huddle today, but they decided not to do it. So they overruled me. And I'm the head coach. But no, we need to change. I think we need to change now the playbook a bit.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of read as well. The defence played really well, Nottingham.
Yeah, I know. Speaking to their defensive coordinator, they were a little bit nervous about, because you more than any other team seem to have so many different looks.
Yeah, we are.
And they were really trying to catch hold of that.
To change it a bit. I think the screen bubble, I think they read it really well.
Yes.
We tried to run that twice. The jet sweep.
Yeah.
We tried to run it once, we didn't run it again. Normally that's a big play for us.
Sure. And a little bit of pressure on your quarterback as well.
Yes, which is really good. I mean, we said 22. I don't know who he is, but
Andrew Wilkins.
He's a great player. Yeah. He's a really good player. As is 99, to be fair.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
Yeah.
As for the quarterbacks on the Nottingham side, you need to be chilled out a bit and take the time, and the experience will tell. I mean, our backup went on first patch.
I know,
yeah. So I mean, he's coming behind an exceptional quarterback.
Exactly, yeah.
In Troy,
and it's just hard for him to, you know. He calls some great plays on the sideline. You know exactly what's going to happen. So, I know.
Wet. He is.
I'm going to get home today if I'm all wet.
Who's this?
Oh, no, that's my daughter. This is.
Are you proud of Daddy? Yes. Are you going to the playoffs?
Yes.
Just say yes.
Yes,
right. Anyway, Noel.
Anyway, thank
Lovely
you.
to see you again.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
You will do.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much for having us.
No problem.
All right. Take care. Enjoy the evening. Take care. So, a very happy and obviously wet.
Yes.
Head coach Kassar.
Yeah. I mean, you can see the joy in their face, can't you? They're guaranteed playoff football now. It doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter whether they finish 7-3. They've got the head-to-head over Sandwell. They are guaranteed football. Leicester Falcons are going to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can quite see this Leicester outfit in the Premiership.
Yeah, you can.
The desire, the coaching, the organisation, it's a really professionally done.
Yeah, I mean, the other team to look out for, particularly in the north, is the Manchester Titans. I know they lost their first game of the season last week, but Manchester Titans, I think, are one of those teams where, really, you think of Manchester Titans and you think Premiership.
Yeah.
And, I think potentially in the north it could come down. And, I don't want to hedge my bets, but the way both outfits and Newcastle, I think, are playing pretty well at the moment as well. Don't want to hedge my bets, but I would think it's going to come down to Manchester and Falcons in the north.
Sure.
And then we'll see who comes up from the south.
Indeed. We were hoping to get an interview with somebody from the Caesars camp. I'm not sure whether anyone's lined up or not, so we'll give that a couple more minutes. If anyone can find out that for us in the crew. But where do you think Nottingham go from here? Obviously being 7-0 and being a bit wobbly as a 7-0 team.
Yeah, they are.
How do they rebound for a fortnight's time?
Well, Nottingham have this thing about them. The defence is so good and the offence just can't click. And whether it's the playbook, whether it's the quarterbacks, whether it's receivers and miscommunication, I don't know. You know for sure that both quarterbacks, and you saw it at the end of the game, plenty of time in the pocket.
Absolutely,
you cannot blame the pass blocking at all. They need to get the run game going, that's true. The defence is phenomenal.
It is.
It is.
It keeps them in the games.
We discussed it, maybe the DBs lack the speed that they need to play man coverage, and it cost them 1 or 2 plays during this game, but overall their defence is, certainly top 2 in the division, or in the conference rather, and between them and the Falcons, I would say at the moment. But it's just getting that and the discipline.
Absolutely. In your opinion, do Nottingham win another game this year?
I think realistically, as we've said earlier, I think it's likely they'll lose to Falcons again. If the Falcons come out and play, we've got Troy, their quarterback, just walking past us now. He's phenomenal, isn't he? And if he plays like he played today, I think they're in for trouble. Sandwell, I think it's 50-50. I think they can beat Sandwell. I think they can do it again. 7-3 should be enough realistically to get into the playoffs.
All 3 teams? 3 teams coming out of this division then?
Should do. Well, I mean, Caesars finished 6-4 and got in last year.
Sure.
But I think they should beat Sandwell. I think.
Okay, so we'll wrap this one up for tonight on this glorious evening from Leicester. The weather's been great. It's been a really good crowd in here tonight, so the Leicester Falcons are obviously a very well-supported team as well. We'll leave you from Leicester and bid you good night on a day where Leicester Falcons proved too strong on offence, and defensively the cornerbacks managed to pick apart Dan Johnson and the offence, with a resulting score of the Leicester Falcons 33 and the Nottingham Caesars 7. We'll see you back in Nottingham in 2 weeks' time on the 23rd of July for the return fixture, when Coach Kassar will bring his Leicester team back into Nottingham, where hopefully Dan Johnson and the Nottingham Caesars will gain their revenge. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the show. It's good night from all of us here at Caesars TV.
Good night.